Hello everybody, Joe Bagadons here. Welcome back for another episode of Umineko. I'm tired today. I slept in a lot today because next week I am working day shift for some reason during the holiday schedule, even though I'm a night shift person. So I need to switch over my sleep schedule. So today's going to be the day I stay up all night, which meant I slept all yesterday. Like I went to bed at like 11, like noonish. Slept all through the day, woke up around midnight, said I need to sleep some more, and then slept until like 4 o'clock. So now it's like 6 a.m. I've gone out and had breakfast, I've had coffee, and I'm still tired. Like, this is gonna be a rough one today. I'm probably gonna stay up all day and just like, I don't know. The way I kill time is either I usually like play like Crusader Kings or like Hearts of Iron because I can just like turn off my brain and get lost in the campaign for like fucking 14 hours until like my PC fucking catches on fire because the game is like lagging because there's too much stuff going on. Even with a pretty good PC, those games will just fucking grind after a certain amount of time. It's just like too much game memory or whatever. But you don't care about the intricacies of why Paradox doesn't know how to fucking code a video game. You're here for some Umineko, and I guess we might find out this time why Renove convinced Beatrice to concede the like chained lock room murder theory at first, because now they're gonna go revive, quote unquote, maybe Shannon and Eva Beatrice is making her play. I don't know. Things are moving, wheels within wheels. Let's go. The guest house lobby had been engulfed by silence. The strings of tension which bound Krauss, Natsuhi, and Eva had already loosened. They were completely tired, and their consciousness was beginning to waver. Every once in a while, they would stand up and walk around pointlessly, fighting their drowsiness. That's like when you start like sniffing hand sanitizer. That's what we had to do in basic training when we would be fucking marching around all day doing shit, and then they'd be like, all right, now go sit in this classroom for fucking 3 hours and learn the most dry, boring fucking things you've ever heard in your entire life. And don't fall asleep. So everyone's just fucking sitting there with their little portable bottle of hand sanitizer they have in their web belt. Because when I went through, they didn't have backpacks like they do now. You had like a belt and like a fucking satchel on your belt that like all your shit went in. And one of the things you had on you was a thing of hand sanitizer for like cleaning your hands before you went to go eat. So that way you didn't get fucking shit in your mouth disease or whatever, because airmen are dirty little creatures. But anyway, people would just fucking sniff those and the Sharpies in order to like get anything to like try to perk them up. It was awful. I hated it. But now all the kids are over in Disneyland in the new dorms that were still being built when I was there. It was rough. It was rough going. The kids these days don't know how it is.
やはり無理をせず休んでいてください。大丈夫だって言ってるわ。もう大人は私たち3人しかいないのよ。休んでる暇なんかないわ。石にかじりついてでもここを死守するわよ。
You don't seem to be sounding too good, though. She spoke a brave line, but she couldn't hide her rough breathing. It seemed that the fever, which had been calmed with medicine for a time, had returned. It's very obvious that Ava's condition was not good. Then go lie down on the couch. But if she falls asleep, she'll fucking see visions of Eva Beatrice. It seemed that she had now become stubborn. Krauss and Natsuhi realized that no matter what else they said to her, in her current state, it wouldn't reach her ears. So they decided to say nothing more and to let her be. To Ava right now, even an argument like that was putting burden on her. It would probably be better for her if she just sat there with her mouth closed. As a matter of fact, Ava was already on the point of succumbing to her drowsiness. She might have talked back with a temper because she was trying to encourage herself and throw off her sleepiness. The clock would very soon be pointing to 6 in the afternoon. Ooh. You still got like fucking at least 12 hours to get to like the morning when the boat comes to pick you up. Because she had been snacking over and over again to fool her drowsiness, she didn't feel hungry. But instead, Her lack of sleep made it feel like it was 6 in the morning rather than the afternoon. Even supposing that the boat would come at precisely 9 in the morning tomorrow. Ugh. I'm with you, Eve. I'm tired, too. There was still more than 12 full hours to go. That was dizzyingly long. That was a dizzyingly long stretch of time. Long. Painful. Hot. Even the sound of the clock torments my body now. Times like this, he would put his hand on my forehead, and the fever would always fade at once. But he isn't here anymore. As Ava's mind grew foggy, she was once again gripped by a deep sadness. She had already cried herself dry. Even so, the sadness from losing her beloved husband had not been exhausted.
私は間違っていたんだわ。
Yep, hey.
どうして？
Originally, the new witch had been the same as Eva. If Eva talked to her, she would always respond.
私は後宮家の当主の座さえ得られれば、それで満足のはずだった。それがあの黄金の山を見た途端に欲が増えたの。
Mm-hmm.
あの黄金の山を独り占めしたい気持ちに駆られた。それは恥じることでも何でもないわ。だって後宮家の当主として当然の権利じゃない。他の誰にも黄金の一かけらだって譲るものかってのよ。私がその誘惑にとらわれたからあなたが生まれてしまったんだわ。あなたは私の少女時代の心であると同時に自分勝手でしかない、私のよこしまな心でもあった。そのあなたがあの黄金の山によって芽生えた私の愚かな欲望のせいで、私の胸という卵の殻を破りこの世に生まれ出てしまった。あなたを産んだのは私の責任。なら私が殺したローザとマリアも
Really you wanted to do it.
そしてルドルフとキリエと秀吉もあなたの責任ってことになるわ。どうしてうちの人まで殺したのよ。どうして？
Because you would have to share the gold with him too. He wouldn't just let you get away with, you know, being a bitch. I gotta hang down. Ow. Bitch. That's what I hate about the winter. And like wearing my gloves and taking them on and off all the time. Fucking like all the little hangnails catch and then they like then they get sore and like puffy and it hurts to touch them.
だってうるさくてしつこかったんだもの。
Yeah, he made us do it.
その意味では私たちのいやあんなのを旦那に選んだあなたの責任だわ。
Got him.
あなたみたいな子供にあの人の良さはわからないわよ。あなた。
Yep, R.I.P. Hideyoshi. He was a real one.
いいよ。私たちは魔法で夢を叶えたのよ。
Yeah, we can just bring him back with magic,
気
right?
分の謎を解いたわ。そして黄金を見つけ、当主の指輪を手にしたわ。
What are you crying about?
すべての夢を叶えきったわ。それがなんで不満なの？それだけがすべての
Anything
夢な
more
ん
is
か
just
じゃ
being
ないわ。
selfish.
あの人と素敵な人生を歩んで、ジョージに素晴らしい人生を託す。妻として、母として。それなのに。
Yeah, but this is young you who doesn't understand all that.
それはあなたが大人になってから勝手に増やした夢だわ。
Yeah, you're being selfish. Think of, you know,
私たちの夢じゃない。
child brain you.
だからあなたは子供なのよ。自分さえ良ければいいの？そうよ。すべて私が悪いのよ。あの時、ローザの言うことにどうして私は反抗したの？どうして兄弟みんなに黄金を見つけたと発表できなかったの？すべて私が醜いから。黄金を独り占めしたくて芽生えさせたよこしまな心があなたを孵化させてしまった。
And I don't think there's any way to get this genie back in the bottle.
私たちは二人で後宮エヴァなのに。いいえ、もう違うわ。
Yeah, you've already broken yourself
そ
off.
してそれはあなたが言ったのよ。私は後宮エヴァ、そしてあなたは黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェよ。
Which means Ava can just kill you with no consequence.
だからもう
Erase your existence.
消えて。魔女なんておとぎ話
No
の中
negative
にしか存在できない妄想よ。
Probably.
幻想よ。あなたなんか消えてしまえ。二度と私の前に現れないで。ああ、そう。
Damn, sounds like the end of one of my dates.
わかったわ。あなたの前から消えてあげるわ。そして私はもう後ろ宮エヴァじゃない。これからは黄金の魔女、ベアトリーチェよ。もう好き勝手に遊んでやるんだから。あんたなんて知らないわ。へそでも噛んで勝手に死んじゃえば。
Yeah, get out of here. Fucking throw some salt after her. After having a fittingly childlike tantrum, the witch who had once been another Eva vanished. Only Eva was left behind in the darkness. And she questioned herself. Did you really do it?
私が彼らを殺した。あの人を殺してしまったの。私が
probably not.
殺してしまったの。
Now, that question is one she herself would never answer. Oh. I appreciate the fucking flashbang. Thanks, I needed that. Choke on your spit. Seemed that, half asleep, she'd gotten some saliva caught in her windpipe just as she was dozing off. Eva suddenly started coughing.
大丈夫か、エヴァ。夏日、水を頼む。
はい。
Yeah, don't just sleep with your head
大
thrown
丈夫だ
back.
エヴァ。
That's how I start snoring.
むせちゃっただけなんだから。
Eva pushed away Natsuhi's hand as she tried to rub her back and unsteadily rose to her feet.
顔洗ってくるわ。
Yeah, what the fucking drool off your face.
ごめんなさいね。寝ちゃってたわ。戻ってきたらまたコーヒーを入れるわね。特に濃い。 明日の朝まで眠気が来なくなるようなやつを。
頼む。ゴーダの入れるコーヒーよりお前が入れるコーヒーの方が私の好みが合うからな。
What, does go to make it too refined?
お世辞でも嬉しいわ。
I prefer my coffee like it's fucking mud water. Like if I'm not drinking like the Dunkin' Donuts blend or like the Wawa blend, like I'll go to the commissary on base and bottom shelf for like $2.59, a giant tin of Reveille coffee, big yellow tin, dog shit coffee. It's awful, but man, does it get you going. It's like bad, but I still like it.
すぐ戻るわ。
Just like the visceral reaction of putting it in your mouth and your body being like, ugh, is enough to get you woken up. Compared to like a nice coffee, which just kind of like relaxes you and makes you even sleepier. Eva exited the lobby, heading for the lavatory. Krauss and Natsuhi watched over her frail back.
あなたもあれだけ犬猿の中だったエヴァさんに気を使うこともあるのですね。
It's a sibling thing.
本来兄とはこういうものではないのか
ね。それで正しいと思います。
エヴァに限らん。ルドルフにもローザにも。
Yeah, but you're too prideful to admit it and like actually do it properly.
私がした兄らしいこととい
She just
え
ended up always snubbing
ば
them.
それを王兵に語り彼らをいじめただけだ。父のようになりたくて私なりに必死だった。だがいつもそれは及ばず、そのはけ口を彼らに向けてしまった。しかしそれは言い訳になる。
Maybe save the impromptu like family therapy session for another
エヴァ
time.
にもまだ傷が癒えぬほどに深い心の傷を負わせてしまっただろう。悔いているが今さらそれを詫びたところでその傷が癒えるわけもない。
あなたがその気持ちを今だけでなく持ち続けることでその気持ちはきっと他の兄弟たちにも伝わりますよ。
今となっては 他の兄弟もエヴァを残すのみだがね。
もし
Yeah, you
あなた
can't
と
completely fix
あ
it,
なたの
but
ご
you
兄
know,
弟が生まれた
you
家
can
が
at least make an effort to
後
try
ろ
to
宮
patch
家
it
で
up.
さえなかったなら
Make it better than it was
もっ
before.
ともっと普通な楽しい兄弟の関係であったでしょうに。
それを言ってはならん。エヴァは生涯私を憎み続けるだろう。そしてその資格がある。私はそれを甘んじて受け止めるつもりだ。
I mean, you can still apologize. She doesn't have to forgive you. I mean, even if she doesn't, that's fine.
あなた
エヴァ、
She's gotta extend the olive branch.
もちろん許さなくていい。
もちろん許さないわ。何を今さら。悪いと思ったなら今すぐへそでパンで死んじゃえば。やっちゃえシエスタ姉妹。
Fuck him up!
45射撃許可治療射撃曲線再確認飛行410データリンク410データ受領射撃許可確認にひひひひ射撃
Again, never trust anyone from Iceland. They're all inbred cousin fuckers. Together, the sisters released the magic ready bowstring. The readied magic bowstring, I put those words in the wrong order. A beautiful tail trailed the golden arrow and drew a beautiful curve as it flew. It was just like a golden snake. It skillfully avoided a grove of trees and flew towards the front door of the guest house. Then it flew into the keyhole of the door and snuck into the guest house without any problem at all. The golden snake raced down the hall smoothly, yet as fast as an arrow. Right in front of it was the door to the lobby. You'd only need to fly through that keyhole, and Krauss and Natsuhi would be right there. For an instant, Krauss thought he saw the door's keyhole sparkle gold. However, at the same time, he strained his eyes to see what it was. That sparkle bent like a whip and attacked, wrapping itself around Krauss's neck. Just looking at it, the gold snake looked very supple. However, it was as though a wire had tightened around Krauss's neck. And while that snake choked Krauss, it extended even more and also tightened around Natsuhi's neck. Without even the chance to scream, their eyes bulged as they went into convulsions and then collapsed.
45命中および死亡確認
Well, that was quick.
牽引曲線形成補正点修正410へデータリンク410データ受領死体牽引開始2匹も釣れた2匹
Alright, now where are you gonna drag him? It's not like you can squeeze him back through the keyhole. The gold snake began to drag Krauss and Natsuhi's corpses back. It slipped through the door into the corridor, dragging the corpses, gradually increasing its speed. And in the blink of an eye, it had pulled them outside the guest house. Unless it did, I don't know, it's fucking magic, I don't gotta explain shit. So the lobby was still, as though nothing had happened at all. As though Krauss and Natsuhi had never been there to begin with. Only the sound of the wind and rain remained, as though feigning ignorance and pretending that they had been the only ones there.
ごめんなさいもう大丈夫よ今コーヒーを入れるわね
Eva returned from the lavatory, but no one was in the lobby. Even though they had been in that sofa until the very moment she had choked and gone to the lavatory, they had now gone, as if they had been an illusion from the beginning.
不用心ね二人揃ってどこに行っちゃったの
Like she was pretending to be in a detective novel, Eva put her hands on the sofa. It's still warm. She felt a warmth indicating that they had been sitting there until a short while ago. Maybe they had gone to do the rounds or something. For the time being, Eva sat down and waited for their return. Beato and George could be seen in the parlor of the mansion. George was kneeling near Shannon's body, as though praying. His face was sincerity itself, and there was even sweat on his forehead. However, Beato was the same. Now that she had handed her name over, most of her previous power had been lost. Of course, she still had more than enough power to be called a witch, but compared to the past, it was a very faint thing.
いいぞ。声をかけるな。手で触れるな。心の声で呼べ。心の手で求め。そなたの強き思いだけ。
So,
シャノンの失われた魂。
if
わらわの魔法を
Shannon's brought
届か
back,
せ。
does that break the ritual? Because, you know, the 6 sacrifices aren't 6 anymore, and like the foundation that the rest of like the Twilights is built on is no longer there, right? I don't know. Can you retroactively break the ritual? Guess we'll find out. George maintained a single-minded focus, kept frantically yelling inside his heart, trying to call back the soul of the person he loved. He strongly envisioned his soul leaving his body, searching for her as she wandered through hell. Beato turned that strong force into magical power, supplementing her own magic. It was magic that, in the past, she could have performed easily without anyone's help. But now, if she didn't rely on someone's help, she wouldn't be able to finish the chant, much less succeed.
数百年近く魔法と反言とこんなにも辛い魔法であった。
I mean, yeah, it's fucking tricky when you're not playing with cheat codes turned on. Even more strained expression than George's had risen to Beato's face. She was still forgetting this, but the magic to revive a life is fundamentally the ultimate hidden art. It was her previous magical power, giving her the ability to use that magic over and over at the snap of her fingers, that was abnormal. Therefore, the heavy burden to her body and mind was, by rights, absolutely to be expected.
しかしこやつの力魔法を知らぬというかなりのなさすがは金蔵の孫と言ったと
What, does magic power skip a generation? Is it like fucking male pattern baldness? The strong power pouring from George was even large enough to pass his magical power. At first, Beato thought it was due to the blood of the mage Kinzo. However, that was probably wrong. She had a feeling that Battler had taught her that. George's power to feel sorrow for the dead of his loved one arose from the way he tried his hardest throughout his life, from the warm time spent together with Shannon, and from the size of their shared dream, promising each other their futures. Do humans really live this seriously during their one single life? Of course they do. To her, life didn't mean anything more than the difference between the top and bottom of an Othello piece. Othello's the piece that's white and black. It's kind of like Go, I think. I don't know, I've never actually played Othello. If the black represents death, then she thought all you had to do was flip it over again and make it white. Yeah. However, it was just like that broken vase. To humans in a world without magic, where they can never return to its original form, it is very, very natural for them to bet all their body and soul on that single life.
生死すら自在にする無限の魔女死の山さえ越えられぬ有限の人間
Now the witch acknowledged it. He was able to hold a magical power that could not reside within witches who didn't understand the value of a life. What is this thing called the Endless Magic for again? Even though I call myself the Endless Witch, have I been forgetting what the Endless Magic means for a whole 1,000 years? She looked at George's expression again. His surging earnestness was like a lightning bolt. Right now, even if George's body was burned or smashed by a waterfall, he'd probably continue to pray for his beloved without minding it, without noticing it. For the first time, she showed respect for that power. So in that instant, all magical resistance was lost. The enormous power of George's feelings turned into magical energy in its perfect form. The vase was very, very beautiful, rich with history and value. Even as young as I was, it still forced me to take a deep breath when I witnessed its beauty. That just made me want to touch it. But the vase easily fell and smashed into smithereens. Like a popped bubble. It felt though the time which it had possessed a form was just an illusion. It was that fragile, that easily lost that life. Fragile, depending on how you say it, changes like the fucking emphasis of the sentence and, weird timing things. I didn't like the way I read it the first time. I realized that, because of my own foolish curiosity, I had done something that couldn't be taken back. No matter how much I regretted it, no matter how much I apologized, the broken vase would not return to its original form. A lost life will not return to normal no matter what happens. I was frightened by the fact that my own frivolous action, even though it had been frivolous, had stolen a life that could never again be revived. And out of pity for the lost life, I cried. Out of fear for myself, who had made it become lost, I cried even more. I was sure that grandfather would also cry at the loss of his precious vase. I was sure that all the people who thought fondly of grandfather would cry too when they saw him like that. But just the loss of a single life, the whole world would be filled with so much sadness. It's like in CK3 when one person dies and it gets like a grief chain that just like makes everyone die of a heart attack and like half your dynasty just fucking croaks because, someone's like 25th distant cousin's friend died, so that way, everyone just strokes the fuck out. Cried even more at how terrible that would be. Beatrice appeared and spoke.
ならばお嬢様、この壺を魔法で蘇らせましょう。それで皆が幸せになれるなら、壺も魔法も精霊たちも喜んでそのために力を
And then everyone will hold hands and sing
元の
Kumbaya.
姿を取り戻すでしょう。さあさあ、お嬢様、目を閉じて私と一緒にお歌を歌いましょう。さあさあ、目を閉じてごらんなさい。
Remember your original
そ
form.
して思い出してごらんなさい。あなたがどんな姿をしていたのか。それはきっととてもとても美しい姿。どうか私にあの姿をもう一度見せておくれ。
It's a little more serene when you're not saying it to a pile of battler hamburger meat. Those words of power powerfully knocked on the door to Hades. Her previous magic had powerfully knocked on the door to Hades in the same way. However, back then, it was horribly violent and earned the displeasure of the peacefully sleeping dead. However, this time was different. It was very powerful, but it was very kind and loving. The dead near the door opened their eyes, called out to the other dead that there was a voice calling for someone to come back. The sadness of that voice calling from the outside touched the hearts of the dead, and trying to respond as quickly as possible, they searched for Shannon's lost soul. And then, they found it. They found the casket in which Shannon was peacefully sleeping. It truly was Shannon's soul, sleeping in the land of the dead. Inside a casket that was covered with rose petals frozen with frost, she was sleeping in peace. The dead silently lifted that casket up. While it looked like a funeral march at a glance, it had the complete opposite meaning. It was solemn, but filled with joy. It reminded the long-forgotten dead that they continue to be loved even after their deaths, and gave them a warm sense of peace. Then, as though guided by a warm light from the heavens, Shannon's body floated up out of the casket. The dead watched her go. They squinted at the warm light, giving their respect to this unknown member of the living who had continued to hold on to his love for a person even after her death. Shannon's body was sucked into the light in the heavens and began to disappear. In the jet-black darkness of the land of the dead, the faint flickering of the gold butterflies could be seen. It reminded them of the gentle stars in the night sky, which they had long forgotten. George remembered being told that he must not say anything, and he hurriedly covered his mouth. However, it felt like his heart was trying to jump out of his throat, because he had seen Shannon's eyelids shake slightly. And then, those eyelids slowly opened. Shannon's eyes were there, but they were still covered in the frost of the land of the dead. However, the warmth of the human world, no, the warmth of her loved one who called her soul back, slowly dissolved that frost, and her eyes gradually regained their sparkle. Then, her eyes moved and recognized George.
Georgie-san.
As her lips shook weakly, Shannon definitely said that. The words were very faint, so much so that they normally wouldn't even have reached his ears. However, George clearly heard them. He heard his loved one, his fiancée, the one he loved most, who should have been dead, call his name once again. Oh, that's just expanding gas escaping the bodies and vibrating the larynx.
ジョージさん、これは夢なの?
It's like how it looks like dead people's fingernails grow because, like, the skin retracts and it, like, pulls back the cuticle and, like, the fingertips so that way the nails look longer.
これは夢じゃないよ。だからほら、つねっても冷めないよ。
As George said that, he softly pinched Shannon's cheek. And then he pinched her cheek on her face. It was how George had always responded in the past when Shannon had been surprised by something and had asked if she was dreaming. When Shannon felt the warm touch of George's finger on her cheek, and when George realized that the warmth of a living person had already returned to the cheek of his beloved, they both cried. They crowed. With what words should a pair of lovers separated by death celebrate their reunion? The words of the human world are not enough to celebrate that. In short, they had no need of the words of this world. Shannon sat up, and the two of them simply or wordlessly hugged each other. Shannon still didn't have much strength in her, and putting her arms around George's back took all she had. So George hugged her tightly to make up for that, to stop her from ever again going to a place beyond his reach. He hugged her so tightly, and yet so gently. Shannon's fingers curled around George's back, and on her ring finger indeed shone the engagement ring George had given her. Its strong sparkle was absolutely not the sparkle of the diamond alone. There was, without a doubt, magical power there that only the two lovers could possibly feel. It's because that strong light existed that they had been able to find her casket in the land of the dead. Beato understood. That ring, no. The couple's feelings, in the form of that ring, had created this miracle. In that moment, George had definitely used magic. Beato had done nothing more than help him along. That magic had been a magical power that could only reside in those who knew the importance of life and trying their hardest. It was the power of a miracle that an endless witch could not know, that only the power of the finite could give rise to. By now, she had no choice but to accept it. She had to accept that true magic, true magical power, existed in the place farthest away from she who called herself a great witch.
Beatrice-sama.
Yeah, the prank got a little out of hand. Oops.
彼女が君を生き返らせてくれたんだ。ありがとう、ベアトリーチェ。
It was the magic of a believing heart.
わらわは何もできなかった。シャノンをよみがえらせたのは、そなたの魔力、そなたの魔法、奇跡を成し遂げる後ろ宮の地。確かに見届けさせてもらったぞ。
ジョージさんが私を。
Yeah, Beatrice just helped.
わらわなど足元にも及ばぬほどの凄まじき魔力であったぞ。わらわなどまだまだ見習いの域を出ぬか。今こそ身の程を知ろうぞ。
Yeah, you've just been fucking brute forcing it with like your fucking cheat code title that just lets you do bullshit. Beato staggered backwards. Her physical strength was clearly exhausted. She had humbly said that George's power alone had revived Shannon, but Beato had also used all her magical power and physical strength. And she reflected upon how difficult it was to revive a single one of those lives, which she had toyed with however she wanted in the past. The couple kept each other in their tight embrace, showed no signs of letting go. Feelings that couldn't be communicated with a billion words were thus communicated between them.
ありがとう、ベアトリーチェ。君は僕たちの恩人だ。
ありがとうございます、ベアトリーチェ様。再びジョージ様に会わせてくださったこのご恩を決して忘れません。
よせよせ、愛し合う二人に感謝されては外道の極みと恐れられたわらわにはくすぐったすぎるというものよ。
Well, you can at least be happy you earned some Battler brownie points.
わらわのことは気にする。存分
He might not give you a pat on the back, but at least he'll look you in the eye now. Beato, who was leaning her back against the wall, slid down the wall and sat. How many centuries had it been since she had last grown this tired from using magic? Probably not since the first time I succeeded in magic. Didn't Master praise me for that back then? Oh, but I myself killed that master who praised me, didn't I? Don't be naive, Beatrice. In the end, that's what it means to kill something, right?
ようやく魔法の使い方を思い出したようですね。頭ん中酸欠でカラッカラで思い出すもへち
Go get some McDonald's, Sprite. That'll perk you up.
それよりあんた殺したじゃねえかよ。現れるんじゃねえよ。
Do you mean like earlier? Like your big golem fight? Or you mean like further in the past?
あなたが未だに私を生かしていますよ。だからこうして現れられます。もっともあなたの頭を撫でに来たわけでもありません
Or
が。
is Virgilia here as a, you know, a ghost haunting Beatrice? Oh,
無
that
様
one kind
な
of piqued
わ
my
ら
mic
わ
for some reason.
わざわざ嘲笑いに来たかよ。それに隠居までした魔女が今さら頭なんか撫でられちゃ。
Well, good thing none of them can see.
他のそうですね。一人前どころか現役を退いたと豪語するあなたなのに、今頃になって魔法の使い方を覚えたなど恥ずかしくて誰にも言えませんね。内緒にしてくれよ、お師匠様。
With a sense of pleasant despondence, Beato gazed at the couple hugging each other. Yeah, they sell at the convenience store for 295 yen. It's on sale.
45データ治療射撃準備完了。
Yeah, it couldn't have gone this smoothly.
弾種選定装填。
And another toast.
410射撃2
The golden serpentine arrow fired by the Chiesters weaved its way through the bushes in the rose garden, weaved its way through the hedges, and it climbed the stone steps towards the mansion's entrance. Aiming for the keyhole, It weaved through the corridors and flew into the keyhole and the door to the parlor. It happened in an instant. It would have been difficult for Beato, who was completely worn out, to have noticed it beforehand. Right before Beato's eyes, the gold snake that flew through the keyhole spun circles around the two lovers and pierced through the two hearts in the blink of an eye. And with meticulous precision, the gold snake ran through that hole in Shannon's chest once more. The two had been pierced through the heart by the gold snake. No, by the gold sewing thread used by the new brutal witch's furniture. It had only taken an instant, so unfitting for the amount of effort it had taken to revive Shannon. Yep, life's a fragile thing. In front of Beato's shocked eyes, the two collapsed onto the floor.
George. Shannon.
ありがとう、ベアトリーチェ。
Yep, just for an instant, but
わずかの間でも会わせてくれてありがとう。
George spent his last breath thanking Beato and died side by side with the one he loved. The gold snake, which still sewed the two in place, spun like a large cyclone, revolving around the inside of the parlor. It was searching for further kills in that room. Then, the tip of the snake met Beato's gaze. In that instant, Beato prepared herself for death. Just then, Virgilia stood in front of her, the fingers of both her hands drawing a mark. In that instant, gold-colored gold leaf buried the inside of the parlor. I would assume gold leaf would be gold-colored. I don't know why you needed to describe the golden color of the gold leaf. That seems a little redundant. It's like a blizzard of gold.
ベアト、今のうちに逃げて。シエスタの黄金宮からは誰も逃れられない。
Well, that seems like a tricky one.
標的疾患魔法機マシ45了解索敵変更対人画像追尾方式標的再捕捉410データリンク410データ受領すっとろいに先代様来て来て来てじゃっ
Well, the Chiester sisters' gold bow would not let its kill escape. It would not let them block it. No magical barrier could even dream of blocking it without being multi-layered. The weak point during the instant of confusion caused by Virgilia's deception magic was Beato's only chance to escape, and the only opportunity to make the sisters confuse Virgilia for Beato. As Virgilia spread her arms wide, blocking the way to her beloved disciple, the gold snake pierced straight through the location of her heart. The snake, which had snuck in through the keyhole, shot through George and Shannon, and then shot through Virgilia in an instant. Completely failed to notice as Beato escaped. As soon as Virgilia saw that Beato had gotten away, she expired. Returned to dust. The strength left her body, and like gold dust drifting in the wind, her form was erased. Yep, can't have a mysterious extra body lying around for someone to discover. Beato completely erased all traces of her magical power, became gold butterflies, and passed through the wall, escaping to the wind and rain outside. Where Eva Beatrice is standing there with a big butterfly net. Yeah, I was about to say, it was going a little too well there for a moment. Beato felt sick from the bottom of her heart. Why? Because she had been attacked by the new witch? Probably not. Of course, she also felt sick over the loss of her master. But even more than that, Beato was enraged at the barbarism which had boorishly stolen the union between the two reunited lovers. Beato had poured out almost all of her magical power to reunite them. That miracle had been achieved only as a result of all that. Yet it had taken such a short time to steal it away. Yeah, she worked so hard to build this big block tower, then Eva just threw a basketball at it. Beato trembled at the barbarous cruelty which had ended it so fast. It was also the true form of the act she herself had committed up until that point. So just as strongly as Beato hated the new witch, she looked at her previous self with disgust. Please get out of the rain backdrop. I can't read like this. But now she had to escape. If she was targeted next, she would probably lose her life. And it wouldn't even be funny if the chess player, descended like a god, ended up being attacked and killed by the pieces.
45着弾確認標的資産
I'm fine with the rain on a backdrop like this where there's actually stuff, but just the white streaks on the black void is just like very disorientating.
先代様を撃破しましたまた私たちの撃墜気象が増えちまうにひ愛し合う二人の引き裂いて一度合わせて二度もう一度引き裂いて三度楽しめるだっけ
Yeah, how was the encore? Better than the first time?
そのついでにあのクソうるさいババアまでさよならできて最高にご機嫌よロノウェイ文句ないわよね
ございませんベアトリーチェ様
あいつは魔女の碑文の儀式を妨害したのよ第一の番の生贄を勝手に蘇らせて私の儀式を妨害したわ
Can't allow that.
文句言われる筋合いなんかなんにもないわよしかしずるいなあいつは死体を残さない、
Because she never existed in the first place.
あのババアも思いっきり何度も無限にいじめ殺して遊んでやろうと思ったのに
Well, now what?
ジョージが来てないわよいつ降りたのよ
いつって
I don't know, he fucking snuck out the window.
何時くらいだったっけ
確か4時か5時くらいだったかな
Yeah, it took him a long time to brew that
最
coffee.
低でも1時間以上は前だよ
俺たち眠くなってその後は多分居眠りしてたしでも多分ジェシカの言う通りだと思うぜ1時間か2時間くらい前だった
私もそのくらいの頃だと記憶していますコーヒーのおかわりはいるかと聞かれましたからな
Something hard to believe had happened. Apparently, when Auntie Eva had left for a second to visit the lavatory, Uncle Krauss and Natsuhi had disappeared. There's no way they went hiding somewhere. Of course, the doors and the windows had all been rigorously checked and were all locked from the inside. Not one of them was broken. That was just the first floor. The second floor was the same. It wasn't just the first floor. Also, all the doors and windows were designed in such a way that they couldn't be locked from the outside. In other words, there was no way that Uncle Krauss and Natsuhi had gone outside. And yet, they couldn't be found. Furthermore, they weren't the only ones who had disappeared. Astonishingly, George Aniki had too. George Aniki had left saying that he was going to go get more coffee, and had gone downstairs more than an hour earlier. I'd been under the impression that he was having a good conversation with Auntie Eva and the rest, and Auntie Eva, who had been in the lobby the whole time, said that no one had come down. Since all the doors and windows were locked from the inside, it's hard to imagine that they went outside. Nevertheless, 3 humans had evaporated from this barricaded guest house, which had become a perfect locked room. Of course it has. It's hard to imagine any reason why they'd hide themselves away for a surprise prank in a situation like this. It's probably appropriate to think that they became caught up in this crime. When Auntie Eva learned that her only son was missing, she went half insane, running from room to room and yelling his name loudly. And Jessica, who had suddenly lost both her parents, followed suit. Cries of "George, George!" and "Mom, Dad!" were even now continuing to echo throughout the guest house. I think George said something about wanting to see Shannon's face. It wouldn't be reasonable to imagine that he had snuck out of the guest house and gone to the mansion. I mean, it would. I think I said wouldn't for some reason. However, I don't know about Uncle Krauss and Aunt Natsuhi. Maybe they guessed what happened and went to the mansion to search for him? Without even telling Auntie Eva? At this rate, it's only a matter of time before we start talking about leaving the guest house to search for them. At this point, I'd be in favor of that. We said that shutting ourselves up inside the guest house would be safe, and shut ourselves in this morning a big happy family of 12 people. And yet, now there are only 4 people here. In other words, being here does not imply safety. However, there's something even more important we mustn't forget. The fact that all the doors and windows are locked from the inside. This is a locked room. How have they vanished from this place? We searched around thoroughly. However, we were unable to find any signs of anyone hiding. The 3 of them had almost certainly been taken outside the guest house.
どうやってでしょう。まさか隠し扉とかがあるとか。
隠し扉？
扉も窓も外から閉めることは。
Yeah, it seems like something Kinzo would, have installed.
釣り糸の類を使ってもこの構造では無理でしょうな。となれば扉や窓以外から出たと考えるのが妥当でしょう。
確かに。そういう論法にもなるだろうよ。
It is vibrated really hard and had their molecules go through the wall.
隠し扉が存在しないなんて断言は誰にもできない。しかし、そういう発想に飛躍する前に、俺はもっとシンプルな可能性も疑ってる。
They're still here somewhere?
と申しますと
For some time, Valor had been opening windows, opening the shutters, and checking outside, and repeating this for each window.
この窓は静かだな。なるほど。この窓は他と違って建物の構造上風が吹き込まないわけか。
そのようですな。こんなにも外は風雨なのに雨も風も入ってこないとは不思議な気持ちです。
南條先生、今窓を開けた時音を感じたかい？
What do you mean?
いえ、気にはなりませんでしたね。
That's a really good window if it doesn't even make anything. Like my windows rattle like a motherfucker in my sunroom whenever I open them.
よく油が効いていると思います。
つまり誰も見ていない廊下の窓からひょろっと抜け出すことは可能なわけだ。
And get out.
しかもこの窓なら風も吹き込まないから。
It would leave no evidence that it
風
had
圧
been
でカー
opened.
テンや扉が音を立てることもない。静かなにさ。
Valor leaned out and looked at the ground below, searching for some sign that George had jumped down. But at a glance, they didn't see any mark like that on the grass in the middle of the pouring rain.
こういう窓が1階にもあるのかもしれない。誰にも気づかれずに表へ出ることは可能だぜ。
But having it be relocked? Unless, they auto-lock.
しかし扉はおろか、窓はすべて施錠されて鎧戸まで閉まっていましたぞ。出ることは可能でも閉めることは不可能だ。
閉められるぜ。こうやってカチャン。
Valor closed the window and locked it, as though it was perfectly obvious. Or, someone on the inside did it for him.
まさかバトラさんは。
最後に中の人間が鍵を閉めればこんな密室は朝飯前だ。
I mean, yeah, but that would mean, someone in here is lying, and what's the motive?
しかしそれでは。
Nanjo turned pale and shook his head several times. Because the thing that Battler said was pressing a certain truth to him that was frightening to even imagine.
俺の想像したトリックならな。しかしこんなトリックを使えば怪しまれる人物は極めて限定される。
You don't want to say it in front of Nanjo, but after eliminating Jessica, who had been with him the whole time, the only ones who could have done it were Nanjo and Eva.
私はそんなことをしませんぞ。誓ってもいい。
となると、
Mm-hmm.
エヴァおばさんと南條先生のアリバイ合戦ってことになる。俺たちは二人とも怪しんで、それぞれを別々に監禁すればいいだけの話。逆に言えば、このトリックはもっと生存者が多ければ有効かもしれないが、これだけ人数が減った状況下では、
Yeah.
大して有効ではないんだ。
No. In fact, there's a chance they could be digging their own grave with it. It should have been more expedient to make it look like the culprit was outside, and to intentionally leave a door unlocked or break a window.
もしこの失踪劇が今日の昼にでも
There's
起
too
これ
many
ば、
it's and tis in that sentence, and it fucking melted my head.
俺は自信満々にこの説を発表しただろうよ。だが、この段階に至っては全然自信が持てないぜ。何なんだこいつは。一体何を意味してやがるんだこの密室はよ。
やはりその。
なんだい南條先生、思いつきでもいいから言ってくれよ。
You don't think Eva planned it all, do you? Doesn't Dr. Nanjo look like he was trying to swallow his words despite having thought of something? I urged him on. After he refused several times, saying it was just a foolish idea, he finally said it out loud.
イエソン、やはりこれは本当に魔女の仕業ではないのかと。
バカバカしい。
I mean, better than the alternative, right?
魔女なんているわけがねえぜ。
He said it! He said the line!
私たちに訴えたいのです。人間にはできないことをやってのけるからこそ、自分を魔女だと認めさせたいに違
So now it's
いない
time
ので
to
す。
praise her name.
私はこのゲストハウス全体の密室からの失踪は、そういう魔女からのメッセージだと感じています。考えてはならないのです。意味なんてきっとないのです。
Mm-hmm.
私は恐ろしい。
No, that's completely understandable. This is a pretty bad situation. As Dr. Nanjo shook with fear, it looked like he was trying to ease the fearsome thoughts that he had kept imagining, one after the other. When we went downstairs, Auntie Eva and Jessica were enraged, and were each making a lot of noise about leaving this place and searching for their respective families. It was a desire that naturally hits those who can no longer see their families. Auntie Eva told Dr. Nanjo and me to stay here, and I shook my head and started walking.
もう引きこもりはたくさん
Going
だ
out
ぜ。
for a walk?
俺も外の空気を吸いたくなってきた。
Hope some fresh air might clear your heads.
ああ、行くならさっさと行こうぜ。もうこんなところに閉じこもってるのは真っ平さ。早く父さんや母さんやジョージ兄さんを探しに行こう。
Well, you might find them, but you might not like what you find. The blood had all risen to Jessica's head. I hope it doesn't set off her asthma.
残りたい人は勝手に残ってればいいわ。とにかく私たちは表を探してくるわ。
Well, if all three of you are going, I'm pretty sure Nanjo's gonna tag along too.
南條先生は
So
どう
what
す
if
る？
the witch shows up?
一人で留守番してるかい？
Yeah, fuck that, I don't want to be here alone.
私もご一緒させてください。
If the alternative was holding up alone in the guest house whose security was by no means guaranteed, it would be better to be in a danger zone as a group of 4 people. Auntie Eva was holding the gun. Moving separately from her was almost like asking to be made into the next victim. In this way, the 4 of us decided to leave the guest house. We'd barricaded ourselves in, saying we'd be safe if we did, then lost 8 people. It's almost as though this had been nothing more than a holding cell from which the sacrifices could be killed one after another. We removed the chain, unlocked the front door, and opened it. It was already pitch black out. While there were some lights outside which dimly lit the pathway, they didn't have enough power to illuminate the darkness that some suspicious person was likely to be hiding
行くわ
in.
よ。遅れても知らないんだからね。
Still holding her gun, Auntie Eva dashed out without an umbrella. Jessica followed after her. After looking at each other, Dr. Nanjo and I chased after them. What in the world is happening in this mansion on this island? Since yesterday, I've just been shut up in the cousin's room in the guest house with the rest of my cousins. I don't know anything about what's been going on outside. Just what has been happening in those places I don't know about. Outside the room, in the mansion, and on this island. Everything is occurring. Everything is proceeding. And everything is ending without my knowing it. Somewhere in my heart, I'd already begun to give up. Most likely, not one of us will see tomorrow morning. When the seagulls cry, none shall be left alive. Title drop! Title drop! He said it! He said the line! You know what? We'll make this double one. It feels like we're towards the end, so I'm just gonna go have a quick little trip to the little boy's room, and we'll be back in a second. All right, and I'm back, and man, it's cold out. It's cold in here tonight. My feet freezing. I really should put on some socks. You know, just bare feet in these Crocs on this wooden floor. It's not doing much. It's like hard frosted outside. Everything's white. Not from snow. It's just frozen up. Don't have an asthma attack. Jessica's woeful voice echoed throughout the rose garden. Leg and knee! Perhaps it was the intuition of a person who lived on this island. After Jessica had looked in the rose garden where Auntie Rosa and Maria had fallen and seen nothing, she'd gone to look in the arbor next. Normally, the arbor was probably a wonderful location to enjoy tea peacefully while appreciating the roses on a good sunny day. Who knows, maybe even Uncle Krauss and Aunt Natsuhi had their days where they relaxed and enjoyed tea together there. In that arbor lay the bodies of Uncle Krauss and Aunt Natsuhi, who had died in what way? In what way? Krauss, corpse discovered in the Rose Garden Arbor. The cause of death is assumed to be strangulation by a cord-shaped object. The stake-shaped weapon was sticking out of his thigh. If not for the epitaphs, stakes wouldn't even be needed. What a pain. And Natsuhi, corpse discovered in the Rose Garden Arbor. The cause of death is assumed to be strangulation by a cord-shaped object. A stake weapon is sticking out of her calf. Why does the epitaph need to be followed in the first place? A game? At least they weren't drenched in the rain like Auntie Rose and Maria had been. But there's no way I could say that out loud to Jessica at the moment.
どうなんだ、南條先生。
Ugh, wet corpses are gross. At least it's chilly enough that they, they won't, like, decay super fast, but, ugh. It's like when you put, like, a roast in the slow cooker and it just falls off, and just crumbles apart. Mmm.
考察ですな。ほら、ご覧なさい。
Are their, like, tongues swollen?
首にくっきりと
Well, yeah.
何か細いもので締めた跡が残っている。
だな、まさかこっちが。
Now, that may be only hanging when, like, the blood is, like, really trapped in the head. The tongue will puff up. The two stake-like weapons, decorated with an occult design, were lying on the ground. Had been found driven into Uncle Krauss's thigh area, near Aunt Natsuhi's calf. When they found these sticking out of my parents' foreheads and chest, they decided to leave them exactly as they were for the police to preserve the crime scene. But Jessica no longer cared about such matters and immediately pulled the stakes out of her parents' forsaken bodies.
これで頭、胸、腹、膝、足の5つをえぐられた死体が出たわけね。
And that's all she wrote.
犯人め、殺してやる。
I mean, you can try.
第8の番まではこれで終わったわ。続くは第9の番なの。魔女は蘇る。
Mm-hmm.
誰も生き残れはしない。
It doesn't paint a very good picture for you guys.
上等だぜ。 魔女が蘇るってことは犯人が堂々と
This means
姿
you
を
can knock her
現して
teeth
くれる
out.
ってことなんだろう。何が誰も生き残れないだ。私が殺してやる。父さんと母さんを殺した犯人をこの手で絶対に殺してやる。
Yeah, just don't go fucking coughing on him. Jessica howled furiously, her emotions laid bare. To avoid being crushed by her grief, she could do nothing but resist it with anger.
まだジョージが見つかってないわ。ジェシカちゃんたちはここにいたければいるといい。私は屋敷へ行くわ。
エヴァさん、バラバラに行動してはいけない。
Don't split the party.
みんなで一緒に行動しなくては危険です。
兄さんたちはもうどうしようもないわ。でもジョージはまだどこかで生きているかもしれない。ここで時間を潰してる暇はないのよ。
As Auntie Eva screamed this, Jessica glared at her. Auntie Eva had no more time to bother about the dead. She was more concerned about the safety of her only son, who was yet to be seen.
ジェシカちゃんはここでお父さんとお母さんのそばにいるといい。私はちょっと屋敷に行ってくるわ。バトラ君も南條先生もここにいてくれていい。
You mind leaving the gun? After saying this and leaving no time for debate, Auntie Eva rushed out of the arbor. Called out for her to stop. Squeeze a yawn in there. But there's no way she would listen. However, by now, being alone in this situation meant nothing short of death. If we silently watched her leave, it'd be the same as letting her die. As long as Auntie Eva was unwilling to stop, we would have no choice but to follow her. And, while it might be cruel to say so, Uncle Krauss and Aunt Natsuhi were already dead, so there's nothing more we could do for them. In the end, we had no choice but to console Jessica and head for the mansion together. Fortunately, Jessica stood up. Perhaps she had been able to draw a line under her grief for the moment. But what had surfaced in its place was an expression like a demon.
私がこの手でぶっ殺して必ず敵を取ってやる。行こうぜバトラー。犯人を見つけたら邪魔をするなよ。私が絶対に殺す。
Yeah, you can have your one-on-one fucking revenge battle.
俺も親父たちの仇があるんだ。悪いが早いもん勝ちだぜ。
そうだな。ぶっ殺してやろう
I
ぜ。
mean, that's a lot of confidence you got. Yeah, you got anything to back it up? At my words, Jessica finally seemed to feel like someone had sympathized with her emotions. She still had that dark expression, but I felt Jessica regaining some of her sanity. And now that chaos has a direction to be funneled into, instead of just swirling around. We took off, chasing after Auntie Eva. Through the rose garden, up the stone steps, running at full speed towards the mansion, whose large, intimidating shadow flashed in the lightning. With this, the Epitaph murders had finished the 8th twilight. And now, on the 9th twilight, the witch will revive. None shall be left alive. I'll most likely lose my life, but at the very least, I want to burn the truth into my eyes. That was the only thing motivating me to move at the moment. We were able to reunite with Auntie Eva, who was having trouble with the lock to the front door. It seemed that all the blood had risen to Auntie Eva's head. That was probably making her fingers clumsy. It seemed she couldn't even handle the simple task of inserting the key into the lock. Then, there was a faint sound. The sound of the door unlocking. Just as though it had waited for all of the survivors to unite before opening. Yeah, can't have anyone miss the grand entrance of the witch. It seemed to me as though the malicious mansion was trying to swallow all of the remaining humans at once. The stench that erupted outwards at the instant the door opened. Could it really be explained as just a smell? It wasn't just the charred smell from Grandfather. I think it may have also contained something like regrets held by so many dead, including our parents and all the servants. What did it mean as it billowed out, overwhelming us? Was it the cry of the dead, telling us not to enter? However, Auntie Eva didn't even flinch at something like that. And we who had to chase after her, were forced to step into the mansion despite receiving that message.
ジョージジョージ聞こえたら返事をしなさいジョージ
Auntie Eva shouted at the top of her lungs. Considering the situation, it's probably far too optimistic to imagine that he's alive. When we started following Auntie Eva's example and calling George Aniki's name in loud voices, Auntie Eva found something and stopped walking. She was standing in front of the door to the parlor.
これは南條先生ちょっと来てもらえるかしら
What do you mean, what? Is there like a residue on the keyhole?
何事ですかな
I heard from the adults about the creepy magic circles that had been drawn on doors such as the one to the parlor. Creepy was the only word to describe that thing, which had been scrawled there with deep red paint reminiscent of blood that slowly dripped down. However, that had supposedly been there since this morning. Wondering why Auntie Eva, who had seen it already, would think it odd now. Jessica and I stared at the door.
確かにこんな数字が書かれていた記憶はありません。
ええなかったわ不気味な魔法文字みたいなのは書かれていたけど数字は書かれていなかった
We got more? From what the two of them said, only a magic circle had been there this morning. However, right now, there were 8 digits newly written in the upper part of the magic circle. 0715129? Yeah, 071511129. Okay. I missed an extra one there because I'm dumb and don't know how to read, and I'm probably mildly dyslexic. I almost got tested for it when I was in training for air traffic control, because my instructor was getting really frustrated at me because I kept misreading call signs. But I never went, so who knows? I don't know what it meant. I didn't even want to imagine the thought process of whoever wrote this. It was drawn in what was probably the same paint as the magic circle. It had clearly been written very recently. The way it had dried and the condition of the color was completely different from the magic circle part.
どうせ魔法的な意味があるんだろうぜ深く考えたって意味なんかあるわけもないさ
Jessica intentionally spat those words out in an attempt to wipe away how creepy it was. What are they again? Nah, I don't see anything. I was like, what if I look at it backwards? What if I look at it upside down? It's probably some code that I don't understand.
魔法陣というものかもしれませんな。
What do you mean? Like a square, like a number that's been squared, or you square it?
ある種の数字遊びに魔除けが宿るという考え方です。どの列を足しても同じ数字になるみたいなものを皆さんも見聞きしたことがおありでしょう。
No.
あれは四角形の中に埋めた数字の話じゃなかった
What, you mean fucking Sudoku?
これは横一列だもの何の意味があるのかさっぱりだわ多分ジェシカちゃんの言うのが正解よ私たちが深く考えたところで意味なんか何もないわ
Yeah, we don't have any context for what it is, so there's no point. Even though she said that, she probably suspected that it might actually mean something. Using an old receipt or something from inside her pocket, Auntie Eva deftly wrote the number down with a short ballpoint pen. Because an 8-digit number would probably be a little difficult to memorize, unless it had some kind of pattern.
これ日にちとかな
日にち何の話
いや偶然だろうけどな
What, like September 15th, 1129?
俺の誕生日7月15日なんだ0715が7月15日を示すのかなって思ったら、
doing the... Oh god. Fuck. Is it... I completely forget what countries do what pattern for dates. Especially because, you know, the numbers, the way I date things, because, you know, there's a specific way I need to, like, write down dates when I, like, document forms. It always goes year, month, day. And I'm pretty sure, like the bog standard, like, American thing we do in schools is month, day, year. So that would track, but I don't know why Beatrice or Eva Beatrice would be using, like, American dating conventions.
1129もほら
Oh,
11月29日って読んだら
like two
ち
separate
ょうど
ones?
語呂がいいかなって思ってよ。
なんでバトラーの誕生日がこんなとこに書いてあるんだよ。
Coming to get you.
そして11月29日ってなんだよ。
Also, whoever did this had impeccable, like, penmanship for, like, scribbling with, I don't know. I was gonna say their finger, but they might have used a brush.
俺が知りてえぜ。まあたまたまの偶然だろうけどな。そう考えたらなんだか不気味になっちまったぜ。11月29日が誰かの誕生日だったりとかするのか？うちの家族は違うぜ。親父もキリエさんもエンジェも違う。
Oh, you actually remember his quote-unquote birthday. That's nice.
もちろん俺のお袋もだ。
心当たりがありませんな。金蔵さんの誕生日でも源氏さんの誕生日でもないはずだ。
うちの家族も違うわよ。ローザやマリアちゃんでもないわ。う
Yeah,
ち
we
の
haven't
家
really
族だ
got
って
much
違う
battler
ぜ。
time this episode. I mean, we have in, like, the DM dimension battler, but not like the game piece battler.
カノン君も違うし、シャノンも違う。私、使用人の人の誕生日には
Aw.
ちゃんとプレゼント渡してるからみんな知ってるけど、
You will get spared during the proletariat uprising, Jessica. Don't worry.
11月29日に誕生日の人間なんて知らないぜ。
You're one of the good ones. Once we started imagining that the 8 digits, which we had only thought were meaningless, were actually 2 dates written together, it really started to look that way. However, its true meaning may be something completely different, or there may be no meaning at all. Anyway, since we don't have any real clue, it's probably pointless to stand around analyzing it. More importantly was the inside of the parlor. This morning, behind each of the doors with a magic circle drawn in them, there had been the body of a victim. Now that the number had been newly added to the door, what new thing had been added inside the parlor? When Auntie Eva tried to open it, she felt a resistance to the lock. She immediately took out a master key and put it in the keyhole. As soon as she opened the door, Auntie Eva let out a high-pitched scream and ran inside. That alone was enough to tell us what had happened inside the room. Dr. Nanjo and I looked at each other, and I shook my head slightly as we entered the parlor.
ジョージ！ジョージ！しっかりして！ジョージ！南條先生、早く！
George Aniki had fallen alongside Shannon Chan's body. His chest was stained bright red. And from his still open eyes, all my condolences to Auntie Eva, but I couldn't pick up any signs of life. No, George! George. George, corpse discovered in the mansion's parlor. The murder weapon is assumed to be a gun or spear-shaped object, in exchange for a soul, the which granted an 8-digit number, 07151129. When spoken, a small golden land will be opened. Okay. Don't know what that means. Small golden land is in, like, the golden land, like the underground room with, like, all the gold bars, or, like that's very ambiguous, ain't it? After moving to take his pulse, Dr. Nanjo shook his head, wordlessly reporting that George Aniki was dead. Brushing him aside, Auntie Eva once again crouched beside George Aniki and started crying at the top of her lungs. With this, Aniki's death, one thing had become certain. The murders would not be ending at the 8th twilight. The epitaph was going to be carried out to its complete form, including the 9th twilight, and none will be left alive. I'm really starting to lose the plot. For some reason, Auntie Eva's half-insane cries and appearance actually made me cool down. Crestfallen and exhausted, I flopped onto the sofa and plunked my feet on top of the table. Maybe all these murders had paralyzed my heart. Instead of fright, the stronger emotion I'm feeling is one of complete confusion. Dad and Kyrie have died, And starting with the servants, people have been killed off one by one. And at one hell of a pace, too. I don't know what time the first murder started, but I'd say we're probably being killed at a rate about one person an hour. We believed that the boat would come for us around 9 tomorrow. There's still a full 12 hours until then. How many more sacrifices to the witch would there have to be for us to survive? With the 4 of us, if one goes down each hour, we won't last any longer than 4 hours. It's not clear anymore if we'll even last until midnight tonight. Yesterday, after lunch, we came into this parlor. At about the same time, the discussion had turned to black tea that Auntie Rosa said she bought. The kids had started talking about going out to take a walk. Maria was fooling around. Didn't Shannon bring us some cookies? She said that Kumasawa-san had baked them, or something. Mackerel cookies. I'd probably have laughed my ass off if there had actually been a cooked mackerel one mixed in with them. That's right. I'll never hear Kumasawa-bachan's mackerel jokes again, will I? Well, yeah. If I only remember stuff about Kumasawa-bachan, that wouldn't be fair to everyone else. Why did Dad and Kirie-san even go outside? It's not like we died from being without food for a day. So why did Gluttony get a hold of them and make them go get food? I'll bet it was my fearless dad who started complaining about being hungry. Kirie-san, you're supposed to be the brakes for my reckless dad. Why didn't you stop him? Well, she had been the one to drag him out. And what about your daughter, Agni? Or however I say that. She's only 6 years old. Oh. She's kicking? Oh, wait, no, that was... That was the kid that was originally didn't make it when Battler was born. Unless she just reused the name? Oh, that's... I'll let grieving mother do her thing. That's kind of... At least I'm pretty sure that's the same name that they were talking about when she was having her internal monologue about, envy and whatnot. And, and Battler making, her think of, Battler's mom and her kid that didn't make it. If they are the same name, that's... Oh, but Battler has a half-sister, news to us. You weren't thinking of entrusting her to me, were you? At this point, it's doubtful that even I will be able to leave this island alive.
やめなさい。こんな時に争ってどうするんですか。ジェシカさん、やめなさい。
Some kind of commotion was interrupting my thoughts. I looked up to see what it was. I saw that Jessica and Auntie Eva had started fighting each other at some point. No, maybe I should say that Jessica was grabbing at Auntie Eva.
エヴァおばさんが父さんたちを殺したんだ。他に説明がつかない。何をバカなことを。
Yeah, then how did George die?
あんたのお父さんたちなんか知るわけないでしょ。ゲストハウスの1階にいたのは誰だよ。
Oh yeah, because fucking Ava, the person dying with a fever, totally just fucking threw the corpses of, like, your mountain of a man of a father and her, Nazi over her shoulders and fucking just carried them off to the arbor.
エヴァおばさんだ。1階のロビーには父さんと母さんと、そしてエヴァおばさんがいた。生き残ったのは誰だ。エヴァおばさんだけだ。どうして。あんたが犯人だからに決まってるじゃないか。
You're not entirely off, but
父さんと母さんを
you're right,
殺
but
して
you're wrong.
外へ運び出して白々しく鍵を閉めて魔女の仕業なんかを装いやがったんだ。じゃあジョージはどうしていなくなったのよ。1階には降りてきてないのよ。じゃあ2階でいなくなったっていうの。2階には誰がいたのよ。
It was you!
あなたたちがいたんじゃない。あなたは知ってたんでしょ。ジョージがこっそりゲストハウスを抜け出すのを。それを
You helped lower him out the window with like a
ような顔を抜け抜けと
rope made out of tied bed sheets or
あ
something.
んたがジョージを止めててくれればジョージは。
やめなさいというのに ジェシカさんはずっと
Thinking isn't gonna get us
男部屋にい
anywhere.
ました。そしてエヴァさんもずっと1階のロビーにいました。そして2人とも何も悪くない。ただ家族を失って悲しいだけなんです。犯人なんか誰もいない。ただただ魔女のせいなだけなんです。だからお二人で憎み合うのはやめなさい。
The witch's fault, is it? I wonder if that's a good way to mediate things for now. Yes, I understand the meaning of all the doors and windows having been locked from the inside when 3 whole people evaporated from the guest house. That's what they were after. Yep, caused a little infighting. Making us think that the culprit was inside and causing this ugly mutual hatred. It had to be the culprits, the witch's goal. But in that case, how had the culprit locked it from the outside? It's certainly true that the master key had been stolen from Dad's group, had been stolen when Dad's group was attacked. But the doors and windows to the guest house had been constructed so that you couldn't lock them from the outside no matter how hard you tried. So the master key shouldn't mean anything for the guest house locked room. Jessica and Auntie Eva were turning their sadness at losing their blood relatives into anger at the person in front of them. Dr. Nanjo was trying to step between them. I mean, if he does, they'll certainly put a lot of distance between them. They'll be out of arm's reach. And I sat haphazardly in a sofa staring up at the ceiling, thinking about things that didn't even matter anymore with a worn-out expression. Just couldn't believe that this was the same parlor that had been so warm and pleasant midday yesterday, for just a short time before the typhoon hit. You fucking shoot her? The sudden sound of a gunshot shook me out of my half-asleep trance. Smoke was rising out of the barrel of the gun Auntie Eva held. Jessica was rolling around on the floor, covering both eyes. Auntie Eva and Dr. Nanjo were looking down at her, shocked.
大丈夫ですか、ジェシカさん。ジェシカさん。
I mean, even if she just, like, shot it near her face, like, the hot gas coming out can really fuck people up. That's a danger people don't think about when they're shooting, like, blanks, is, you know, like, oh, it's no bullet, it's fine. No, that air's coming out with some serious pressure and heat. Yeah, you smacked her arm while she was holding the trigger. You made me do it!
おいおい、どうしたってんだ。何事なんだ。
Jessica had grabbed at Auntie Eva, and it had turned into a scuffle. They had then started fighting over the gun Auntie Eva had been holding, and some movement or another caused the trigger to be pulled. I don't know the details, or whether the bullet had grazed her, or whether she had been burned by the discharge, but whatever the case, Jessica was covering both her eyes, screaming in pain and rolling around on the floor.
大丈夫。落ち着け。大した怪我ではありませんぞ。気をしっかり。
Oh yeah, your eyes are closed. Dr. Nanjo lent Jessica his shoulder, saying that he would tend to her in the servant room. The servant room in this mansion apparently held a bed and a first aid kit, and was able to function as an infirmary. And you tried to kill me! Maybe you should let us hold the gun, Eva.
ジェシカさん、傷に触りますから、それ以上騒がないで。さあ、使用人室に行きましょう。
Jessica still continued to curse Auntie Eva at her parents' murder. As her parents' murderer, it seemed that Auntie Eva couldn't conceal her shock at the fact that she had pulled the trigger, even if it had been an accident. Yeah, everyone had been at the guest house. Then who done it?
ジ私は悪くない。私は悪くない。
Ava, you're being hysterical.
待てよエヴァおばさん、一人になるな。
Just going off on a witch hunt, huh? I didn't know whether it was because Auntie Eva couldn't stand her mistake, or whether it was because she had lost herself to anger at the person who had killed her only son, or whether it was both of those all mixed together. In any case, she ran out into the corridor, yelling, fearful and shouting. I was also worried about Jessica's condition, but anyway, right then, I couldn't leave Auntie Eva alone. Why would she go off on her own in this mansion of all places? Is she suicidal? I mean, maybe. Dr. Nanjo took Jessica towards the servant room. Chased after Auntie Eva, dashing into the depths of the mansion. Gun safety is important, kids. That's why you shouldn't play with firearms, even though I, ejected the clip from my new gun on one of my Mahoyo streams. I'm not streams, recordings, because I had just gotten it and I like messing around with it. And I don't think I did for this time, so let me get the ping going all good, because it is a clip for once. A magazine is external, a clip is internal, holds the bullets. Let me get that in there. Boop, boop, bop. Come on, get in there. Oh, God, it fucking hurts my fingers because it's stamped like metal. Don't feel good to push down on. I can get my finger out. Ready? You guys all ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, that hit something down there. Shouldn't really dry fire your guns too much because it's the same with like arrows and like a bow and arrow. Oh God, can I lean it up against my bookcase? There we go. It won't fall over? Alright, good. It's the same with like bows and arrows, you know, that kinetic energy, it wants to go somewhere. So if it's either strikes like, say, a bullet, like that energy moves forward and it's fine. Same with like, you know, you loose an arrow's bow. I mean, you loose a bow's string. It wants to go forward and all the energy goes into the arrow. But if you just do it without the arrow, it just like stays in the string and it like wobbles back and forth, and that's bad for it. So don't do that. Don't dry fire your bows. After sitting Jessica on the servant room bed, Nanjo told her several times not to rub her eyes and examined the affected area. The barrel had probably been near her eyes. There was a possibility that the flames from the discharge had damaged her corneas. There was no threat to her life, but it would probably be necessary to have a suitable doctor look at her as soon as humanly possible. Nanjo applied emergency first aid, covered the affected area with gauze, and wrapped it in a bandage. As a result, Jessica completely lost her field of vision. Yep, don't touch. It's like when we see in cartoons when people get chickenpox, you like duct tape fucking oven mitts to their hands so they can't scratch. No, she wasn't, Jessica. It was an accident. You don't have any proof. But it doesn't look good, considering, you know, the 19th person doesn't exist on the island at this time. What a femme fatale. Well, that's not true, especially in the 80s. A whole lot of cold cases. I'm so glad I'm not like a fucking white girl who's into like true crime.
全て警察が解決してくれます。
Like, that's gotta be like... I mean, I get that it's interesting. Like, fucking Forensic Files. Like, if that's on TV, I'll watch it. But one of those people who, like, only listens to, like, true crime podcasts. You know, it's kind of...
だからジェシカさんは今は体を休め。
Like, especially the people who get, like, invested in it like it's a fucking soap opera. Like, fucking wackadoos. Also, that was a really bad whistle. I'm actually pretty bad at whistling, like, by pushing air out, but I can whistle by, like, sucking air in real easy, like... But, like... It's a lot louder when I pull air in, too. Don't know why. Indeed, when Jessica had grown agitated in her verbal abuse of Eva, she had naturally started glaring, and the pressure on her eyes had hurt her. Jessica herself soon realized that the more she talked, the more the wound would hurt. And regardless of whether she had overcome her suspicion of Eva, she regained her composure for the time being. That's just like your opinion, man. She had heard that Kanon had been killed in the chapel. Jessica still hadn't seen his face after he died. Jessica was now less fearful about the fact that she might go blind, and more frightened that the police would carry Kanon's corpse away while she still couldn't see, and that she would have to say her final farewell without being able to see his face. Her anger at the culprit, and her sadness at the death of the person she had liked, those mixed emotions provoked her tear ducts. But right now, tears were actually painful for her. So she wasn't even permitted to leisurely remember the late Kanon's face. Oh my god. I just want to throw the honorifics in everywhere, or cut them out at random. Jessica could do nothing but sit on the bed and let her head droop, withstanding the pain.
さて、今度はエヴァさんの方が心配です。気に病まれていなければいいのですが。
Letting out a small sigh of relief that Jessica had calmed down for the time being, he stuck his head out into the hallway to look for any signs of others coming back. Hi! I guess the witch has revived. They met eyes. Nanjo, unable to understand who this person was bewildered for an instant.
視力を失った人間って反魔法力も対魔法抵抗力もゼロになるんですって。
Why? Because seeing is believing, and they can't see anything, so they might as well believe anything?
つまり今のあんたはアイソレーテッドポーン。意味がわかるかしら。
なんですと?
There's no possible way that Nanjo could have understood who the person in front of him was. And there was certainly no possible way that he could ever have understood what she had just said.
Nanjo sensei, どうしたんです?
Unable to see, Jessica couldn't tell what was going on. Jessica couldn't tell what was going on except by whatever voice she heard. But since she had heard Nanjo say something with an uneasy tone, she tightened up, thinking that something bad might have happened.
やめてくれ。殺さないでくれ。わしには病弱の孫がおる。
Oh, do you?
ここでは死ねんのだ。頼む、見逃してくれ。
Nanjo sensei! Nanjo sensei!
Jessica couldn't do anything except call out from the bed. Judging by the tone of his voice, Nanjo was in the corridor, being confronted by someone. And he was scared. There was no doubt that at this very moment, his life was being threatened. No, not Nanjo! He's like the only normal person here.
第9の晩に魔女は蘇り、誰も生き残れはしない。
But man, yeah, like, poor Nanjo. He doesn't even work here. He's just like, he just fucking knows the owner was like here on standby because it's like, well, you might as well have, basically the school nurse come in case anything happens. The witch pointed the end of her gold staff at Nanjo. Even though he didn't know what she was planning to do, Nanjo imagined that she must be trying to take his life.
そこに誰がいるんだよ。返事をしろよ。
やめてくれ
Fireball! Bang. A sharp sound echoed. Tapered to a point just as sharp, the elongated tip of the gold staff was stuck straight into Nanjo's forehead. Jessica only had her ears to help her try to grasp what had happened, and no clue what was going on. But even so, she was able to realize that with that sound, Nanjo had died. The person who had killed him was now in the corridor, right in front of the servant room. Oh, poor Nanjo. Where are you at? There you are. Corpse discovered in the hallway outside the servant room in the mansion. The murder weapon is assumed to be a gun or spear-shaped object. One last push, and he too would have probably been home free. But at the last possible moment, she did not permit him that. And the person who killed him was now in the corridor right in front of the servant room. I think I read that. Furthermore, since she couldn't see, she wouldn't even be able to run away, much less resist. Upon discovering that she was in a life-or-death situation, caught like a rat in a trap, Jessica felt her blood run cold.
ああ、ジェシカ。かわいそうにね。目を怪我しちゃったのね。なら、あなたは逃げることもできないわね。今から南條の死体でたっぷり遊ぶわ。それに飽きたら、次はあなたを殺してたっぷり遊んであげる。いいえ、せっかく目が見えないんだもの。殺してたらだけじゃない。殺す前にもたっぷり遊んであげるわね。
Man, Eva Beatrice sucks.
そこでしばらく震えながら待ってなさいね。南條の死体で私がどんな風に遊ぶのかをたっぷり想像しながら。
Struck with fear, Jessica let out a frail scream. She really wanted to scream in a much louder voice, trying to get someone to help her. But she couldn't. When a person is faced with true fear, it clogs up their throat. Right now, Jessica could barely even breathe. That should just fucking have an asthma attack and choke to death. She searched around with her hands, trying to find some way to escape. Even though she knew this room well, just being unable to see made it like a locked room of darkness. She bumped into some shelves or something, and some tins of sweets and bottles of things fell down from there, hitting her on the head. As she was now, even protecting her head to block them wasn't working out. She was becoming painfully aware of how very powerless humans become just by losing their sense of sight. Of course, she had no time to appreciate that. She crawled around, as best she could, trying to escape that place, bumping into things that she didn't understand, getting hit by various falling objects. And it felt like to her the entire room was alive, bullying her and refusing to let her escape. Then, she heard footsteps from the presence in the hallway. Then a voice. The person had probably peered into the room since Jessica was making so much noise.
賑やかね。レディーならおとなしくベッドに座って待っていなさい。令状にふさわしい素敵な真っ赤な死に装束を与えてやるんだから、あなたを見つけた人が失神してしまいそうになるくらいのね。
Just a short while ago, she had sworn that she would kill the culprit if she found them. However, she was now all too powerless. She couldn't do anything except let out feeble screams and crawl around on the floor, bumping her head into the bed and the legs of the desks.
助けて助けて誰か助けて父さん母さんパトラー誰か助けてよ
I don't think Kanon's gonna be any help at the moment. In the corridor, just as the witch thought of how to toy with Nanjo's life, a single gold butterfly secretly watched that scene from the corner of the hallway. It was Beato, who had barely escaped with her life once before. The gold butterfly softly returned to human form. Its form was faint and transparent like a lace curtain. Even just the power to hold a human form had become scarce to her. Scarce? Scarce. Scarce. Right next to her, Ronave also appeared.
ジェシカも生き残れはしないでしょう。もとより誰も生き残れはしませんが。
あやつカノンに恋心を寄せてわらわはそれをもてあそんだこともある。しかしそれは魔女として恥ずべきことであった。
愛とは未知なる元素。恋心はそれ以上に純粋で尊いものでございます。なぜかお嬢様はとてもそれを嫌われますが。
Yeah, like I said, Beatrice is the person fucking throwing rocks at couples in the park.
お師匠様は言った。魔法とは人を幸せにするためにあると。わらわもかつてはそれを知っていたはずだ。
Yeah, but you got kind of lost in the sauce.
そし
A
て
little high in your own supply.
それを忘れた時からわらわはバトラの対戦相手の資格を失っていたのだ。
まさかお嬢様ジェシカを助けるおつもりですか。危険です。
分かってる。
Yeah, you seem a little outmatched at the moment.
どうせ助けても黄金鏡の扉が開けば魔女の宴の慰み者よ。しかしそれでもあやつの殺し方に比べれば数段慈悲深い。魔女の宴は
Orders of magnitude are
恐
a
るべ
thing.
き方法にて命を奪う。二度は奪わぬ。生死をもてあそばぬ。しかしあやつは違う。何度でも殺す。面白半分で殺す。
I mean, as if you weren't the same fucking 16 hours ago.
そこにはわずかほ
Or
ど
however
の
long it's
慈悲も
been.
ない。わらわはせめてジェシカ
Hell, even less than that, like half a day.
その
確かに
Sorry,
それを
sorry,
行
Beatrice, I cut you
う
off.
ことは良き魔女として称えられることでしょう。しかし新しきベアトリーチェ様はすでにお嬢様のことを敵視なされてい
Once you
ま
break
す。
concealment, you're gonna draw aggro.
もう一度姿を見られることがあったなら
Unless that's your plan to just fucking kite her away.
逃れる術はありません。
ジョージをシャノンに会わせた時わらわはようやく魔女、そして魔法とはどういうものなのか。わらわは魔女であらねばならぬ。
What, does it feel good to do good things,
そ
Beatrice?
してバトラに対戦相手だと認められ、今度こそバトラ、そのための道は長く険しいかもしれない。
You done this time? Your long dramatic cadence is really hard to follow.
しかし今ここでその一歩を踏み出さねば、わらわは魔女を名乗れぬのだ。
お気持ちはわかりますが、どうやってお救いになるつも
That's
り
great,
で
but you
す
still need a plan.
今のお嬢様の身に使える魔法は多くあります。シャノンを蘇らせる時ですら
You're gonna have to get creative and cast like a bunch of basic cantrips.
だからこそジェシカだけは救えるかもしれぬのだ。今あやつはカノンに助けを求めている。 その思いの力を借りれば、わらわの魔力にてもう一度
Drag him out.
冥府の扉を叩けるかもしれない。
叩けはするでしょう。しかし魔力を使い切ります。新しきベアトリーチェ様にもし見つかったら本当に逃れる術はありませんよ。私はすでにお嬢様の執事ではありません。
Kanon even answer if he sees you at the door?
いざという時お助けすることはできませんのでご了承。
承知しておるわ。わらわはこれまで数えることもできぬほどの命をもてあそび。
Do you remember how many slices of bread you've eaten in your life?
ならばその罪も同じ数だけの命を救うことでしか。もとよりわらわに失うものなどないわ。名も魔力も引き継ぐ。
Mm-hmm.
今や魔女とも認められぬただの黄金の蝶。
バトラ様はどうなさるのですか。ゲームの途中です。彼はお嬢様がお戻りになるまで
I
待つと
can't
おっ
leave
し
him
ゃいま
hanging
した。
forever.
ここで果てるようなことがあっても良いのですか。お嬢様にはバトラ様の向かいの席に戻る義務があるのです。
だからこそだ。わらわにしか救えぬ命があるならば、わらわはそれを救う。そして魔女と認められるぞ。わらわは魔女にならねばならぬの。
Only then can she be worthy to come back at all.
これが試練。
Gotta risk it for the biscuit.
これまでの悪行に見合わぬ幼稚なものよ。さあ姿を消せロノ。かつて黄金の魔女と呼ばれた一匹の蝶の最後となるかもしれぬ魔法を見るがいい。
かしこまりました。黄金の魔女の名に恥じぬ魔法拝見させてもらいます。願わくばそれが最後の魔法とならぬこと。
Yeah, this new boss kinda sucks.
行け我が友に。もしインクが足りるなら我が愚かなる生涯を記して同じ道を歩もうとする愚か者に手渡す。さらばだロノ。
Wakey wakey. Just gotta splash some cold water on his face. Throw a little smelling salt under his nose.
どこにいるの？どこにいるの？
Lying on the floor.
助けて。助けてよ。お嬢様、僕はいつだってお嬢様のすぐそばに控えております。
The heart.
カノン君。
Jessica thought she had just heard Kanon's voice. She looked around with unseeing eyes, but of course, there was no way for her to see anything. On the contrary, this action caused her head to hit the desk again. Bonk.
助けて。助けて。はい、お嬢様、僕がお助けします。カノン君、生きてたの？
Yeah, he was just faking. This time, she thought she could hear his voice clearly. Jessica jumped up in surprise and banging her head against the desk once again.
お嬢様、どうか心を落ち着けてお聞きください。残念ながら僕は生きてはいません。
He's only alive in your heart.
僕はすでに死んでしまっています。ですが、あの魔女がお嬢様の危機を僕に知らせに来ました。そして
わずかの間だけお嬢様に手
She's
助けでき
just
る時間を
borrowing
くれ
him,
まし
you
た
know. Not bringing him back completely, just, you know.
心をもっと落ち着けてそうすればお嬢様にも僕の姿が見えるようになります
Jessica obeyed those words. She chased all idle thoughts from her head and relaxed her breathing. Her heart actually felt like it was going to explode after hearing the voice of the loved one she thought was dead. She resisted that with all of her strength. When she did, she could feel that Kanon-kun was really right in front of her. Even though she was unable to see, somehow, she was still able to sense him clearly.
僕が見えますか
Oh, why do you remember him in his lame work outfit? At least, like, bring him back in his edgy coat.
お嬢様
はあ、見えるぜ。確かにカノン君が見えるよ。
僕は魂だけの存在ですだからお嬢様に
Yeah,
触れることは
the
できません
imposter already got him. Now he can just only walk, run around the spaceship and watch.
こうして言葉をかけることしかできない
I don't know. Is that how Amogus works? I played like 2 games when it first came
そ
out.
れだけしかできない
I'm like, yeah, this is neat.
か弱い存
Not for
在
me
です
though.
が
言葉だけなカノン君に触ることはできないの？
僕は今ろうそくの煙よりも儚い存在です
Yeah, but you can do a cool trick with smoke from a candle where you can like relight it and it'll like travel down and ignite the candle
聖
again.
者であるお嬢様に触
Just
れら
gotta
れ
do
る
that,
は
but with like his spirit.
たちまち書き消えてしまうほどにだからどうか触れようとしないでください僕もお嬢様に触れたい気持ちを抑えているのですから
Oh.
あ、うん。
それよりお嬢様よく聞いてください新しい黄金の魔女は残酷な
Yeah, she
心
kind
の
of
持ち主です
sucks.
必ずやお嬢様をひどい目に遭わせようとするでしょうこの部屋から逃げ出し隠れなければなりません
どうやって私は目が見えない
I don't know, just fucking echolocate.
静かに僕がお嬢様の目になります僕がかける言葉に従って動いてくださいまずそのまま3歩履いててそれから立ち上がってください
Yeah, first get out from under the
今
desk.
お嬢様がいるのは机の下ですそのまま立てば頭をぶつけます
机の下だったのか
What do you think you were hitting your head on?
分かったよ1、2、3立つぜ
お上手です次は時計で言う9時の方向を向いてくださいはい
Okay, using o'clock positions is good. Better than right or left. You mean like my right or you're
なんだ
you're
か
right?
恥ずかしいぜ
大丈夫ですか傷が痛みますか
いや平気だぜ
No, it probably hurts a lot.
次は
I've gotten just like shit in my eyes before. Not like actual shit, but like metal shavings and whatnot. And that fucking stung. Jessica thought that this was a dream. She didn't want to wake up. And if she were allowed to, she would have wanted to take off the bandage covering her eyes and see him. However, if she did that, surely Kanon would vanish like frail candle smoke, just like he himself had said. She was afraid of that. So she satisfied herself with just being able to hear his words once more, repressing her desire to see him, to hold him. So what hurt her eyes now were tears of gratitude. Tears of gratitude for the god, or else witch, who had given her this miraculous moment.
大丈夫なのこんなに喋ってあいつに気づかれない
she's busy.
声を聞かれない
隠密の結界を張っています大きな音や声を出さなければ誰も気づきませんだから誰も僕の気配には気づけない
Yeah, sure, man. Whatever you say.
わからないけど
Again, magic. I don't get to explain shit.
とにかく静かにしてれば大丈夫ってことなんだな次はどうするんだ
そのままゆっくり10歩ほど歩いてください。ソファーに触ります。それに沿って進んでください。ゆっくりと落ち着いて僕の言葉を
Yeah,
信
maybe
じて。
don't like kick over, I don't know, like some random like stack of cans or knock bottles off the shelf. Or step on a bottle you had knocked over previously and fucking eat
目
shit.
が見えないってのはあんなにも怖いものだったのに、カノン君と一緒だと全然怖くないよ。
そう、それがソファーです。左になぞりながらゆっくり進んで、すぐ左にテーブルがあります。すねをぶつけないように気をつけて。
It was a very, very peculiar and magical team effort. Even though she would be killed in an instant if she was noticed by the terrible witch, there was no fear in Jessica's heart right then. She was being protected and guided by Kanon, who she had thought she would never be able to meet with again. It was probably only a momentary miracle, but even so, Jessica was deeply grateful for it. If she hoped for too much, she was sure that he would disappear. So, in order not to break this transient miracle, and in order to engrave this moment into her heart for all eternity, she slowly continued to walk, obeying Kanon's voice.
さあ、さらに10歩歩けば使用人室から出ます。そしたら9時の方向を向いてゆっくりとずっと歩いてください。右の壁に手を置き、それに沿ってずっと僕が安全な部屋までお連れします。
そこに行ったら
Where would be safe?
帰っち
I
ゃ
don't
う
know, Kinzo's study? Oh, well, the magical lock on the door was busted, ain't it? Kanon didn't answer. But even his lack of an answer was enough to let her know that it was the truth.
ならやだ、できなくないよ。
ここにいれば魔女に殺されます。
いいよ、 殺されればカノン君のいる世
Nah,
界
not
に
even
行け
get
るの。
wrecked by her.
お嬢様、どうか聞き分けてください。死者である僕には人の世は眩しくて辛すぎる。だから長くはとどまれません。だからお嬢様、
Yeah, I'm on the
僕
clock.
に許された時間
I
で
put the last of my quarters in the parking
お嬢
meter, and
様
you
を
know,
安全な場所まで導くことを。
hell's fucking
Don't
parking
ka
police are,
yurishite
you know, not very lenient if you're over your time.
そしたら
They'll tow my car.
時間が尽きるまで
Then I'll have to take the
ずっ
spirit
とお嬢
bus
様と
back.
一緒にいますか
At
ら。
this hour, all the fucking weirdos are there.
それがカノン君にできる精一杯なの。
はい、その代わり1秒でも長くお嬢様のそばにいるようにします。ずっとお嬢様といてお話をします。
Do you think hell has good public transit?
どんなお話？
Probably not. If, like, Reagan is there.
どんなお話がいいですか？
カノン君が聞かせてくれるなら
It's the 80s right now, so it might still be good for a little
どん
bit.
な話してもいいよ。
では、勇気のない臆病な使用人の少年の話を、太陽のように眩しいお嬢様に恋心を抱き、同じ気持ちを打ち明けられながらも
He pushed it away.
臆病さに負け、ついに生あるうちに自分に素直になれなかった。
My man's was just furniture.
なら私もしたいよ。大好きな男の子にね。勇気を振り絞れなかった臆病な女の子の話を。そしてその男の子に再会できる奇跡を神様がくださって、その勇気を振り絞
I
る
mean,
機会
don't let Beatrice hear you calling her, you
も
know,
う一度与えても
you
ら
know,
った女
capital
の子
G. You know, it might go straight to her head.
勇気を振り絞る話を。
僕もその話を聞きたいです。だからそのためにも行きましょう。安全な場所まで。
カノン君と一緒ならいつまでだってどこまでだって歩くよ。 目なんて
I don't know.
いら
Walking
ない
for a long time sucks. Like your feet get sore,
カノン君が踏み出せた
especially like
家
you
だ
have bad shoes, like your fucking toenails will fall off. It's rough.
ありがとう。さあ、お嬢様、参りますよ。最初の10歩。
うん嫌だジェシカって呼んでくれなきゃ
わかりました。では、ジェシカ、最初の10歩を踏み出して。
カノン君
We've never actually learned Kanon's actual name, have we? He said he forgot, but, you know, that was clearly a lie, but... Quietly, Jessica and Kanon snuck slowly out of the servant room. As poor Nanjo was just getting wrecked over and over. Directly around the corner, the witch could be seen cruelly looking down upon Nanjo's corpse. But the witch didn't even notice their presence. However, Ronove, who was waiting at her side, met Kanon's eyes. Kanon thought, oh no, grimacing and blocking Jessica with his back. However, Ronove did not inform his master. As though it had been his imagination that he had ever spotted him in the first place, he pretended to know nothing. No, maybe he did appear to chuckle. From a finger on one of Ronove's hands, which were joined behind his back, a single small gold butterfly appeared, flying in front of Kanon as though guiding him. It was undetectable by the master he served. Kanon was surprised at the magic that butterfly held, because it was far more powerful than the stealth barrier Kanon had. He may not have known, but that power had originally been Ronove's, an imitation of what had been given to Kanon by Kinzo, and that was what Kanon was using now. As that butterfly of stealth magic scattered gold scales, it grew smaller, bit by bit. Probably wouldn't last long. But, without a doubt, even that would buy them enough time to get far away from the cruel witch.
さあ、お嬢様、その壁に沿い、ずっと歩いていきましょう。ずっと。ずっと。
カノン君と一緒ならどこまでも
I mean, you're gonna hit an end to the hallway eventually.
ずっと
Led and protected by the small gold butterfly, the two were separated by the wall between life and death slowly walked away towards the end of the corridor. There was no way that the evil witch would have any magic to notice their flight. Till they had already disappeared down the other end of the corridor, the witch never noticed that Jessica had vanished. By the time the gold butterflies that Ronove had cast out evaporated completely, Jessica had reached the parlor. Even though she would have been able to make it this far in no time if she had been able to see, as she was now, it had been a long, long adventure.
さあ、お嬢様、客間にたどり着きました。これからお嬢様を窓際のカーテンの束のところ
Yeah,
ま
hide
で
behind
お
the
連れし
curtain.
ます。その中に隠れればきっと安全です。
カーテンの中かうまいな私も昔よくそこに隠れたもんだぜ
I mean, is there a bigger curtain? Because these curtains on these windows seem pretty short.
ベアトリーチェ様。
Kanon called the witch's name. Jessica looked around in surprise, but being able to see, she obviously couldn't find the witch. Beato had appeared once again with a faint form. Kanon squared off against the evil witch, but Beato's expression was soft, and actually pitying.
どういう気まぐれで僕を蘇らせてくれたのか。僕にはあなたの気持ちがわからない。気まぐれに過ぎぬ。
I really wanted to say women, am I right on that one? But I've been saying that too much. You know, I don't want people to actually, you know, mistakenly think that I think that. No, it's just funny occasionally. But, you know, if you overuse anything too much, you know.
いや、魔女とはこうあるべきなのだ。
Fickle things.
わらわがそれを気づくのに1000年をかけた。それだけの愚かしい話だ。
誰がいるの
お嬢様、お静かに。彼女は魔女。ベアトリーチェ。僕をお嬢様にもう一度会わせてくれた恩人です。
魔女ベアトリーチェ。
She's kind of also the one that killed you.
わらわ
But
の
we'll
ことなど
leave
ど
that
うでもよ
important
い。
part out for now.
それより早くその女をカーテンの影に隠すがよい。そなたに残された時間も
It's such an obvious hiding spot. No one would think to actually look
ジェ
there.
シカと最後の語らいに費やすがいい。カーテンの束の中で密会とは。そなたらもなかなか味な真似をする。
What, make you jealous?
ありがとうベアトリーチェ。カノン君に会わせてくれてありがとう。
Jessica didn't know where Beato was, so she said that while facing in the wrong direction. Perhaps because she found that funny, Beato snickered.
あとは愛し合う二人にこの部屋を譲
Yeah, just ignore Shannon and George dead on the
る。
floor.
邪悪なる魔
They're
女。
fine.
恋話は不要だな。退出させてもらおう。
ベアトリーチェ様、ありがとうございます。
礼などいらぬ。こんなのでは償いきれぬほど悪行を重ねておることは。
Mhm.
良き魔女には感謝を選別とします。今までがどうであったか、そしてこれからがどうであるかは
Yep,
知
the
らない。
past is the past.
しかし今この瞬間、あなたは間違いなく良き魔女だ。
おべっかが過ぎるぞ、カグ。次に会うときは期待を裏切らぬ悪しき魔女であるか
You
も
know,
し
that
れ
was
ない。
only this round, next time, round 4 might be different.
さらばだ。
Beato left the parlor and closed the door. And, mustering the last of her remaining magical power, she sealed the door. The fact that those two had escaped into here would eventually be noticed. And now that the ninth twilight had been reached, no matter how much they struggled, their inescapable fate had already been decided. However, until that final moment, they should be permitted the time to speak with each other of their love. The witch poured all of her magical power to protect their time together, so that no one would be able to defile their time alone together until the final moment. And then, Beato perceived something. Body had been detected by a magical searching technique. The cruel-hearted witch's furniture had sniffed this place out.
無粋なるは魔女のゆえんか。若き二人に恋を語らせる気もなしとは。
Well, she wrecked George and Shannon the same way.
45データ受領。標的称号仙台ベアトリーチェ教と確認。百魔防御壁を解析。多層防御壁72層、構成防壁および魔法反応走行。
Yep, 72 layers, of course.
100万への狙撃は不可能。410へデータリンク。410データ受領。にひ。じゃあ仙台様を先にしちゃえばいいだけの話かね。
Yeah, if you take her out the magical fade, right?
大ベアトリーチェ教攻撃許可を。撃ってちょうだい。ああ、急所は外してね。
Uh-huh. You want to be the one to finish her
バ
off?
バアに聞きたいことがあるの。410射
So,
撃。
where's Battler and Eva?
にひ。
The Chiester sisters' gold bow released a golden snare. Snake. Snake. It said snake. They crawled down the corridor, starting from the front of the servant room, drawing a soft, serpentine curved trajectory as it made for the parlor. And struck through Beato's chest. Now, how's it feel to be in the receiving end, huh? Gold butterflies gathered, and the cruel witch showed herself there along with her furniture.
仙台様、二度もの妨害、もはや許されませんぞ。
Yeah, you fucking yuck it up, Ronove. Put on your thespian mask and say your lines.
許 されようとも思わぬわ。しかしシエスタ姉妹も腕が落ちたものよ。
What?
わらわを仕留め損なうとはな。
They kind of meant to do that.
それも二度も。
Oh, you mean the first time too, yeah. Ronave spoke in a manner fitting for the witch's butler. As she pushed her pain aside, Beato grinned and spoke back.
申し訳ありません先代様急所を外せとのご命令ですご指示があればすぐにでも貫きますともピアスの穴でもおへその穴でもお好き
Ugh.
な穴
Oh
を
god, not the belly button. I mean, I know I talked about it the other day, like when I was pushing a power card, I thought I like herniated something. I had like blood and ooze leaking out of my belly button, so that was gross. And it smelled like death, so there was probably something infected in there too, which, ew. I've had this happen before in the past. You see, the belly button's a lot deeper than you think. Like, it goes deep, like 3 to 4 inches. So even, like, obviously I shower every single day, and of course, you know, good hygiene, you clean up in there. It's just way deep in there, you know, stuff can still get trapped, and it'll rub, and it'll be like an open sore that gets infected. Gross. Or just like shit just gets squeezed out. Also gross. But it doesn't feel good to stick a Q-tip like way deep in there. It's like, oh! Your body's like, nope, don't do that. Take that out. You're not supposed to put things in there. Especially like, you know, when there's a sore. The gold snake that had shot through Beatrice grew even longer, drawing a helix like a morning glory vine, and it waited its next order. It was ready to pierce a vital spot as soon as the merciless witch told it to.
残忍にかけてはわらわも一歩を取るそなたがどういう風の吹き回しか新しきベアトリーチェ
聞きたかったのよどういう術で逃れたのか知らないけど私たちはあんたを仕留めたつもりでいたのよそのまま隠れていれば逃れられたものどうして危険を冒してまた現れたのまさか若い二人をかばうためだけに戻ってきたわけ
People get sentimental in their old age. You want to understand, you know, you're a little fledgling.
さっきだってそうよどうして恋人たちを蘇らせて再会なんて甘い真似を聞けば聞くほどにあなたは私なんて足元にも及ばない邪悪の権下
What, you think she did it just to tear him apart again?
そのあなたがどうして急にそんな生悪いことを始めたのかって
What you heard about her past actions?
それを聞きたかったのよ
残忍ゆえにわらわは気まぐれなのよそれを問うことに意味などあろうか
シエスタ姉妹ヌエ
Ugh. When she ordered that, the gold snake that was curled in a helix and suspended in space moved as fast as a real snake going after its prey, and pierced Beato's body multiple times for the front and the back, its golden tail drawing an X shape. You gonna put a button on her? As the ruthless witch had ordered, it drew a cross-stitch through Beato's chest. The gold thread made a squeaking sound and tormented Beatrice. Rather than a gold snake aiming for its prey, it waited for orders in midair, as if it was a sewing needle ready to sew Beatrice.
あんたに限って気まぐれなんてあるわけがないあんたのことを聞いたわそして知ったわあんたは私ですら足元にも及ばない邪悪の権下よ私はそんなあなたに実にふさわしい後継者だと思ったの
You've been trying too hard.
なのにあなたは邪魔ばかりぬるいことばかり言って私を呆れさせる何があなたを変えたの1000年間邪悪の限りを尽くしたあなたにその1000年を翻すような何が起こったのかそれだけを知りたくて生かしたのよ
知りた
Ooh, nice CG.
そなたも1000年を費やすがよいぞ
ヌエ
Beato's chest was once again sewn with a golden cross stitch. It tightened once again, squeezing fresh blood from Beato's chest. The intense pain it caused ran in conflict with its beauty to the eye.
あんたもひょっとすると死ぬと消えちゃって死体が残らないタイプかもしれないわね。だからあなたをゆっく
Well,
り
yeah,
と
you
殺
can't
す
have an
わ。
extra corpse that wasn't even here to begin with,
でも
because magic isn't real.
私の質問に正直に答えられたら楽に殺してあげる。先代様にぴったりの華麗で豪華で優しい死を与えてあげる。水を張りバラで埋めて棺桶に沈めてあげるわ。
What, like fucking Dio?
素敵でしょ。それでも話せないの？
Is she gonna need to stand after 100 years too?
あなたの心変わりの理由
Or however long Dio was fucking in there?
聞かれたことを答えぬもまた邪悪なる魔女の優越よ。
ヌエ北津
That can't feel good. I've gotten stitches without anesthetic before. That shit fucking sucks.
もちろん
Just imagine it going all the way through is all.
だってそうやっていじめてるんだもの。無限の魔法は本当に素晴らしいわ。思えばこの世はすべからく有限。人の世に無限などありはしない。
Just in theoreticals.
それは神が無限であるがゆえに
In like numbers.
人の世を見下すため、
And
全ての
from
無
our
限を
current
取り上げ
understanding,
たから
the
よ。
universe? Maybe? I don't know. Time space is weird. It hurts my head, so I try not to think about it too much.
無限の力とは神の力。遊べば遊ぶほどにさらに楽しい遊び方を見つけられる素敵な力。その力を1000年も思うがままに使い暴れ回ったあなたがなぜ今頃になって心変わりをしたの？まさか私に譲ったから惜しくなってとかじゃないわよね。
Just gotta find a nice man and maybe, you know, I'll change you too.
惜しいものか。そなたがそうだと信じている無限の魔法など魔法にあらず。
It's not real magic.
真の魔法の力とはそなたなどでは到底至れぬ深淵にあるのだ。
それに気づいたから？それは何？
それに気づけず1000年をさまよえ。愚かな魔女よ。
Yeah, you'll kick yourself in the ass once you realize it.
今度は3つ。
They continued embroidering Beato's chest with the gold thread. It tightened even more, causing Beato more and more pain.
まあいいわ。死に損ないのババアが何を達観したかなんてもう興味も何もない。もう飽きたからあっさり殺してあげるわ。あんたを殺せば客間の結界は解ける。
Mm-hmm. Just taking the battery out of it.
そしたらカノンとジェシカもたっぷりいじめ殺してあげるわね。愛し合う二人を同時におもちゃにできるなんてこれは楽しそうよね。
You're a little young to be, you know, the unicorn in the relationship.
殺せ。
Without missing by a millimeter, the gold sewing thread shot through Beato's heart. That intense pain was worse than all the pain before that put together. Beato finally remembered the actual feeling of dying, which she had forgotten over 1,000 years. But she couldn't die. She must not die. If she died, the two people in the parlor would be handed over to the brutal witch. So she definitely couldn't die. She resolutely refused to die.
新しきベアトリーチェ頼みがある。客間の二人の仰せ短い時間のものだ。
Yeah, you know, just give them the time.
砂時計で測れ 冥府へ消えるだろう。その程度の時間、どうか許してはくれぬか。
Yeah, you know, Beato can play with you until then.
いやよ、愛し合う二人を引き裂くのって楽しいんでしょ。あなたが言ったわ。だから私やってみたいの。
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
ならばその快楽、貴様に味わわせるわけにはいかぬ。楽しいぞ、恋人たちを引き裂くのは。
そうやね、きっと楽しいわよね。だから邪魔しないで。もっと縫え縫え縫え縫え。にひ410了解。
Alright, don't have too much fun. The merciless gold sewing needle sewed its golden thread through Beato's heart over and over again. However, no matter how much it tightened, the heart did not stop.
まだまだこの程度では足りぬな。
Yeah, a little internal bleeding never killed no
こ
one.
の程度では死んではやれぬ。
何をしてるの？このババアのおしゃべりを止めなさい。早く殺すのよ。
殺してます。何度も心臓を縫い止めてるのに、こいつの心臓止まらないんです。
あんた不死身なの？
Who knows?
まさかそなたに無限は譲り渡した。鼓動を刻める数など残すところもたかが知れている。
I mean, but it's like that with everyone, ain't it?
だがそれを一つ余計に刻むことで、この部屋の二人にわずかでも長い時間を与えられるなら、その程度の抵抗を永遠に続けようぞ。
縫え！こいつの心臓が動きを止めるまで縫い続けよ。
Beato can have her fucking redemption arc. As long as she says she's sorry and doesn't do it again.
なんでこいつ死なないの？ありえない。心臓を縫いしまってるのに。
Doesn't matter if it's possible. Anything is possible with magic.
なんで
Magic.
ないの？ならいいや。心臓を内側から爆破してやるに。かわいそうに逆らわなければ綺麗に死ねたのに。
The gold needle and thread made round trips over and over again as they spoke, and still Beatrice didn't expire. The barbarous witch was at last starting to turn pale at how unnatural this was.
一体何者なの？
わからぬだろうな。わらわわからなかった
But now the scales have fallen from your eyes.
す。だがな、どうやら
See unabated the truth.
これが本当の魔法というものらしい。
What? Speak up!
つまり、わらわは今こそなった。本当の魔
A
女
real witch!
になった。
心臓内部で爆心固定。瞬間準備よし。爆破。
Oh. That one's gotta hurt. There was a deafening sound, and gold leaf and a flutter of gold butterflies were scattered around the area. Beato's chest had opened wide from the inside, and from that, gold butterflies and gold leaf erupted, staining the surrounding area gold. Then, Beato's body crumpled. Like a puppet whose strings had been cut, she crumpled and sank down to the floor. However, in the air, a gold heart tied by gold threads floated and continued to beat.
そんな化け物だ。
When the Chiesser sisters saw that, they fell on their behinds in shock. Somehow, even though Beato had become nothing more than a heart, it still kept beating, continuing to protect the barrier to the parlor. It was an immeasurably immense magical power, impossible to measure. In other words, infinite and endless.
無限の魔女は私でしょ。なんでこのババアこんなになっても生きてんのよ。シエスタ姉妹、あの心臓を砕くのよ。早く。
They've already tried their best.
無理です。申し訳ありません。私たちにはできません。
無理でしょう。
Yeah.
何人たりともあの心臓を打ち砕けはしません。竜王陛下の兵士風情ではとてもとても。
なら無限の魔女である私になら打ち砕けるということでしょう。
Even more so.
私の力は神の力だもの。
恐れながらあなた様の力では
It seems like a pretty big mismatch.
ベアトリーチェ様の無限傷一つつけられません。
それはどういう意味よ。
It's the endless enduring power of love.
影を知らずして光がないよう、有限を知らずして無限もまたなし。ベアトリーチェお嬢様の真の無限の力の前に。
何よそれ。
Though the lives may fade, the love is eternal. The cruel witch stepped back in surprise. It was more transparent than a lace curtain. But Beato's form, no, Beatrice's form, was still standing there. Even after taking on this wretched appearance, she would not allow evil through that door. At that time, a shadow just as faint as Beatrice stood behind her. It was Kanon.
ベアトリーチェ様、ありがとうございました。このご恩は忘れません。
恩の数が恨みの数を超えたらもう良いのか。
はい、本当にありがとうございました。そしてベアトリーチェ様ももう大丈夫です。どうかお楽になさってください。
Yeah, it came out on the wash this time.
もう
何よ。なんであんたたちは先代のババアをベアトリーチェと呼ぶのよ。ベアトリーチェは私の名前でしょ。
Well, there's kind of a, you got a bit of a prefix in front of it.
新しき黄金の魔女、そして無限の魔女である私の名前のはずよ。
無礼な。ベアトリーチェ様の名を語るな。
恐れながらベアトリーチェ様の名は無限の魔女を冠せられるお方が名乗られるべきもの。今や先代はあなた様を指すものでござ
Yeah,
い
you
ます。
know, if there's a more worthy person, the name just whoop, pops on back, I guess.
さらばだ。かどうせすぐに出会うさ。
Yep, episode 4 is a thing.
新しい夜の悪夢にて再びベアトリーチェ様のもとをこれで失礼いたします。
Kanon's form grew faint, and he disappeared into thin air. Exit stage left. After watching him go, Beatrice's form also grew faint, and before disappearing, it slumped over onto the floor. Then, there was a splat. The golden heart which had been floating in midair had lost its sparkle, becoming blood-stained flesh, and fallen to the ground. However frail it It was ragged and full of holes. But until just now, it had sparkled so much and had continued to beat forcefully. That heart still barely managed to beat. However, it was only a matter of time before it stopped. Beatrice, whose form had become fragile and faint like incense smoke, lay on the floor, steadily watching her own heart. There, the cruel witch could be seen.
何が無限よ。現にこうしてぶっ倒れてるじゃない。有限のある無限なんてそんな矛盾存在するわけもない。これがあんたの魔法の限界なのよ。有限は無
Isn't
限
magic
に
itself
劣る。
like a contradiction? Makes sense to me. Beatrice no longer had the energy to even reply. No, in fact, it was doubtful whether the words of the cruel witch even reached her ears.
あんたが本当に無限の魔女なら立ち上がってみなさいよ。どう？立てないでしょ？どうして立てないと思う？あんたが無限の魔女じゃないからよ。
The merciless witch poked Beatrice's heart with her fingernail. Beatrice had no words with which to respond to that provocation. However, instead of words, she returned a single expression. It looked insulting only to the cruel witch. Because she had gently curved her mouth and smiled. Footsteps were approaching that place. There was no way she could mistake them. That boisterous noise of shoes against the ground was the sound of Battler's footsteps.
バトラか。偉そうなことを言っても、わらわはこのざまよ。そなたの言う本当の魔女というのを、わらわなりに頑張っ。
ああ、見てたぜ。
なあ。
So, she score any points?
魔女になれたかな。そなたの対戦相手の資格できたかな。
ダメだな。
Battler said that unbelievably blunt. Taking a painful breath, Beatrice saw that and sneered at herself as though she should have expected it.
そうか。本当の魔女への道。
Yep. Ain't that easy.
まだまだ険しいな。だが、わらわは屈しず、そなたがわらわの苛波に決して屈しなかったように。
Oh, he kind of surrendered once, but, you know, he bounced back. Doesn't count.
必ず本当の魔女になって、そなたの対戦相手に認められて。
And I guess he'll just sit there eating Runaways cookies until you get back.
ダメだな。全然ダメだ。お前は俺の対戦相手じゃない。
Real opponent is the evil Eva Beatrice. The brutal witch raised her foot high. Below it was Beatrice's frail heart.
死ねよババア。ぐちゃっと潰れて、それでも無限が示せるってんなら示してごらんなさいよ。魔女は私よ。黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェは私なのよ。
Don't say that in front of Battler.
死ね
You might catch a mean right hook.
ああ、ダメだ。全然ダメだ。
Welcome to the DM dimension. Is this a new track?
席につけ。俺の対戦相手はベアトじゃない。
Yeah, it's the evil witch Beatrice.
てめえだ。
バトラー、これは何の魔法なの？ どうでもいいわ。知ったことじゃない。シエスタ姉妹。
45了解。カッコ射撃。
Are you allowed to do that here?
410了解。死ねバトラー。
I mean, even if you do, he's just gonna come back. The Chester sisters each readied their own golden bows and fired golden arrows. The two only pulled the bowstring together when using precision guidance. They were fighting against an enemy before their eyes. They fired their bows at the same time. And the power was no different from what it normally was. I mean, you can't just like stand up and punch your opponent in the face during a game of chess and say you win when he's unconscious.
45標的測定。45了解。これは私の
Resistance. It's over 9,000! Oh, I was actually really close. The warheads of the golden bows cannot penetrate any magical armor with their mutual coercion. When attempting to block that using the anti-magic resistance stat, even something with 8 digits wouldn't escape penetration. Furthermore, even among the famous gods that appeared in myths, there was not many who reached a resistance stat of 9 digits. For that reason, 9 digits were enough to measure almost all imaginable values. Battler had filled all 9 of those digits with 9s. The Chester sisters dropped their gold bows in shock. To this battler, it felt less predictable than 2 dragonflies passing on his sides. Perceptible than 2 dragonflies passing by his sides. Words. There's a lot of them that look alike. Yeah, you know, it's all just the realm of imagination because magic and witches aren't real, so he just said, I cast force field. Haha, you can't hit me. Playground rules. The Chester sisters couldn't hide their fear at Battler's ferocity, and they backed up as though they had been struck. Beatrice watched the scene in shock. Alright, sure, let's just fudge the definitions of things around, you know. You need correction. Then, Battler's eyes grew as sharp as blades as he fixed his eyes on the cruel witch. It's like an Ace Attorney case. We got all our evidence. Now we just got to fucking one-two punch. Yeah, take a breather. Beato looked at Battler timidly. She still hadn't been acknowledged as his opponent. Was she qualified to watch the game board from the sidelines? Okay. I'm losing what the point of the game is now, but sure, go ahead. Do it, Battler. There's good hype music playing, so that means anything you say, I'll just roll with it. What, you just gave it the Spark Notes version? Okay.
なるほどね。魔法では勝てないから魔法以外で決着できる世界で私に一騎打ちを挑んできたわけね。愚かな連中。へりくつで私に勝てると本気で思ってるのね。
ああ、思ってる。てめえのへりくつを俺が全て叩き潰してやるぜ。エヴァおばさんよ。
私はエヴァではない。
It says so right in your name.
それは私の古い抜け殻の名よ。私は彼女のうちに生まれた本当の魔女。
ごまかすな。
That's just your bipolar disorder speaking your multiple personalities. Take your lithium bicarbonate.
人間の犯人だ。後ろ宮エヴァだ。ワルギリア、第2の番を再構築。
Snap, snap.
了解。第2の番はバラ庭園にてローザとマリアが殺されました。
Show us your indisputable facts that
当
it
方
was
はそれ
her.
をエヴァ犯人説にて処刑。
はあ、バカバカしい。さあさあおいでなさい。思い出してごらんなさい。後ろ宮秀吉がどんな姿をしていたのか。
We're not talking about that. What?
何の真似をしやがった。
死者の召喚。魔女は証言台に死者を正せることにたやすい。
Oh, you're bringing up that he was with Eva the entire time? As Uncle Hideyoshi, who you can... An Uncle Hideyoshi, who you could see right through, was summoned. Magic sure is convenient. It looked as though he couldn't see what was going on here. Almost like a person on the other side of the TV.
証人喚問。後ろ宮秀吉の証言よ。さあさあ秀吉、お話
He
しな
was
さい
complicit,
な。
so then Eva had to kill him later on during the other Twilights. So that way he couldn't rat, and then the rest was, you know, one after the other, easy peasy.
わしは部屋でずっとエヴァの看病をしとったんや。もちろんエヴァが部屋を出るわけもあらへん。
エヴァおばさん、ここじゃ赤くねえ証言は絵の役にも立たねえぜ。赤で再度の苦笑を要求する。
Can she do that, or is Ronovic gonna have to step in to do it
そ
for
うだ
her?
ったのね。いいわよ。赤で言ってあげなさい。
わしはずっと部屋におったで。事件の前後の時間帯は全てや。
You were in the room.
さあほら。
Where was
これで
Eva?
エヴァが犯人ってことはありえなくなったわよ。どう返してくれるのかしら。
バカバカしい。
Yeah, that's an easy one.
くだらなさすぎて
That's fucking rookie level.
あくびが出る一手だ。ベアとは一度たりと
That was basic lie of
子
admission.
供騙しな一手を打ったことはない。復唱要求。エヴァおばさん、事件前後の時間帯は全て部屋にいた。秀吉おじさんはただのアリバイ工作員だ。あんたはおじさんに留守番をさせてこっそり部屋を抜け出していたんだ。そうでないならこいつが赤で言えるはずだぜ。
復唱拒否。秀吉の証言だけで十分よ。
No?
それを
That's
復
not how
唱
this
する
works.
必要はないでしょ。
降りてきましたね。
We win!
容赦は無用です。これでチェック。
Killer.
ああ、
With
いただ
facts
き
and
だぜ
logic.
ちょろい相手だ。チェック。秀吉おじさんは終始部屋を出なかったろうさ。しかしあんたを看病していたというのは真っ赤な嘘だ。よってあんたのアリバイは存在しない。あんたには部屋を抜け出してローザおばさんたちを殺すチャンスがあった。カーセルってんなら赤でエヴァおばさんは部屋から一歩も出ていないと宣言してみろ。できねえだろ。
I mean, if we're counting, you know, Eva Beatrice as Eva, then you can't say that, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know what's real or not
チ
anymore.
ェックメイトだ。
何をす
But
る。
any magic shit basically doesn't have to really exist or have happens, you know. What we see isn't really what happened and all that.
悪いな、おばさん。たとえルールに
Yeah, you haven't got adjusted to this
全
game
力で
yet.
叩き潰すこのゲームの流儀だぜ。ベアト。
魔女側リザイン。次のゲームに進みましょう。続きますは
第4から第6の番でございます。
It seemed that the witch still didn't understand how to approach things and was losing her composure and irritation. She was probably also angry that a shot had been taken at her while she still didn't get what was going on. But I won't go easy on her at all. Just like she didn't go easy on the victims at all, I won't go the slightest bit easy on her.
ワルギリア、次の事件だ。親父たちの事件を再構築。
了解。ルドルフ、キリエ、秀吉の3人は屋敷へ向かい、そこで殺されました。
Hideyoshi did die to a gunshot wound to the chest, so from the front it said too.
俺からの指し手は変わらない。エヴァおばさん、あんたが犯人だ。今度は秀吉おじさんのアリバイすらねえぞ。あんたはたった一人で部屋で寝ていたと主張している。
Or he got shot by one of the others.
しかしそれは虚偽だ。赤で宣言できるものならしてみやがれ。
拒否するわ。なら教えてよ。エヴァはただの女よ。そして殺されたのは銃を2丁も持つ大人が3人よ。
It's really easy.
彼女がたった一人でどうやって殺したというの？凶器の杭でどうやって？話によく出る杭の射出機ってどんな構造をしているのよ。それを説明してよ。それが説明できない限り、エヴァにアリバイがないとしてもエヴァに殺人が可能だったことにはならないわよ。
説明拒否。悪魔の証明だ。説明不能だからといって、未知の殺害方法、もしくは未知の凶器の存在を否定できない。つまり、俺が杭の射出機の構造を説明できなくても、その存在を否定することにはならない。
何よそれ。そんなめちゃくちゃって通るの？
Yeah, you get used to it.
悪魔の証明、有効です。
Gotta learn to roll with the punches.
同じく悪魔の証明、有効です。バトラ君はその射出機の構造を説明する義務を負わずにその存在を主張できます。魔女側はこの手を反論できません。やるではないか。なんと強引な。
どこぞの昭和の魔女にたっぷり鍛えられたからな。
I guess you're fortunate it wasn't you doing all the fucking killing this time, Beato. Otherwise, you know, would have been done more thoroughly.
これでチェックだぜ。エヴァおばさんが部屋から一歩も出てないと赤で言ってみろ。そうさ、言えるはずはないのさ。言えないならば決まりだぜ。チェックメイトだ。
なんて暴論。こんなのめちゃくちゃ
So
よ。
was killing people. It's an irrational thing.
そういうルールのゲームでございますので、まずは紅茶でもいかがですかな。
Have a cookie to calm your
美味しい
nerves.
クッキーもございます。
Sugar is good for your brain. It helps you think.
いらないわよそんなの。ああ、イライラするわ。魔法で勝てないからって、こんな卑怯な戦いで。
イラつくなよ。紅茶でも飲めよ。俺はストレートでもらうぜ。ベアトは？
わらわは良い。それよりバトル。油断する。
It's not over till it's over.
向こうがルールに不慣れなだけだ。向こうが要領を掴んでからだ。本番だぞ。
だが潰す。徹底的に潰す。なぜなら奴は魔女ではないから。
It'll be easy peasy like taking candy from a baby.
お前の通した意地が通らない。いかなる暴論であろうとへりくつであろうと、俺が全身全霊で叩き潰す。
Battler's side then struck with the Eva culprit theory to explain Krauss and Natsuhi, the 7th and 8th Twilights, in the exact same way. Yeah, that one's easy. At that time, there had been no one else on the first floor of the guest house except for Eva and the victims. Unfortunately, they could probably swing it in as, you know, had George help and then she, you know, tied off that loose end. At the time, there had been no one on the first floor of the guest house except for Eva and the victims. As before, no one could establish an alibi for Eva. At the time, Eva had claimed that they had disappeared while she was in the lavatory. But nothing supported that, and the witch's side couldn't repeat that in red either. With the same argument that she had used to ask about the construction of the shooting machine, the witch side asked once more how Eva could have strangled both of them at the same time by herself. But before Battler But of course, Balor splendidly counterattacked by refusing to explain because of the devil's proof. Under the storm and stress of Balor's spirit, the witch side was completely swallowed up and was forced to resign 3 times during the short period of time that she had to grasp the rules. I mean, and you know, for Nanjo's case, there was quite a loud bang, you know, when that spear of yours went through his head, huh?
ようやくコツが分かってきたわ。もうあんたの思い通りにことは運ばせないわよ。今度は私から仕掛けさせてもらうわ。
Just had to give Balor the slip in the mansion that, you know, she's more familiar with than him, and you know, go and finish off what she started.
ロノウェ第4から第6の番を再構築。後ろ宮桐江をピックアップ。ここで一度第4から第6の番のルドルフ桐江秀吉の殺人に話を戻させてもらう。
Alright, let's see what you got.
あやつ一度はリザインした局面をなぜもう一度。
なるほど、あなたが刺さない珍しい攻め手です。注意して。当時生存者たちはゲストハウスへ籠城していたわ。食料がなかったけれど彼らは安全を考え翌日まで食事を抜く覚悟さえあった。けれど結局3人は食料を求めて外へ出るわ。
そうだな、結局3人は食料を取りに表へ出る。
面倒だから赤を
Say in
交え
red,
て語るわ
only
よ。
3 people left.
桐江は食料はいらないと考えてた。1日くらい食事を抜いても死なないのだからゲストハウスを出ないべきだと主張していた。にもかかわらず彼女は自ら食料を取りにゲストハウスを出ようと提案する。
Gonna try to pin the blame?
これは矛盾しない？
はい、見事に矛盾します。桐江の行動式に矛盾します。
その矛盾は私が魔法で作り出したの。つまり私が魔法で桐江を操ってそう言い出させて生贄たちが外出するように誘導した。
Okay.
バカバカしい。そんな魔法あるわけがねえ。
悪魔の証明よ。バトラ君が知らない魔法だからといって存在を否定することにはならない。そしてその魔法を私は実演する義務も負わない。それでいてさらにあなたには反論の余地もない。こういう戦い方でよろしいのかしら。
はい、実にお見事な一手です。マタラ様、受け手をお願いいたします。
Okay.
おかしな論法に持ち込んできやがったぜ。
Yeah, that's a
つまりどういうことだ。
that's a weird one.
後ろ宮桐江の行動式に対して駒を打ってきました。すでに説明がある通り桐江は食料を屋敷に取りに外へ出るべきではないという行動式を持っていました。
Could have been looking for something else besides food?
にもかかわらず彼女食料を取りに行こうという矛盾した行動をとります。この矛盾が説明できない限りそれを魔法であると主張する暴力的な手です。
そりゃ最初は桐江さんもそう考えてたんだ。しかし多分その途中でいろいろと考えてやっぱり食料は必要だろうと心変わりしたってことなんだろうな。いざという時空腹で力が出ないってんじゃ意味ないだろうし。
This ain't the most solid defense you've ever put up, bud. A lot of probablys and ums and uhs in there.
その心変わりが魔法によるものだと主張しているのです。つまり非常に困難なことですが桐江が心変わりした理由を説明しなければならないのです。
なんだってそんなの桐江さんの頭の中の話だ。
Yeah, that's a tricky one.
こっちにも桐江さんの霊を召喚して質問するとかできないのかよ。ベアト、お前桐江さんを呼び出したりできないのかよ。
Probably not. That'd be too simple.
それは魔女側のみに許されている手です。
すまぬ
Yeah, Beatrice is on the sidelines this time. I mean, be it though.
くそ、多分だな。その俺たち子供のことを考えてやっぱり食料は必要だろうと総合的に考えて。
But no, she would probably just be like, it sucks to be them. I guess they're just go hungry today.
それを客観的に主張しなければなりません。キリエがある理由により、食料がやはり必要であると心変わりした具体的な証拠が必要です。例えば、そう証言したのを誰かが聞いたとか、何かに書き残したとか。
残念だけど、その心変わりの理由は誰にも語られておらず、また記されてもいない。よって、キリエの頭の中で何があったのか、あんたには憶測することしかできないの。つまり証明は不能。私の手に対し、あなたは一切の反撃の一手を持たない。今度はあんたがリザインする番なのよ、バトラ君。
心変わりの理由など無限に想定できる。そして
Actually pinning it down and being able to defend that position is
肉々しいほどにマトラ様にこれを切り返す方法があるとすれば、多分あの手だけかと。
その手とは何なのか。
さて、どのような手でございましょうね。
お
嬢様の得意な手だったような気もしますが、私は思い出せません。
ケチケチしないで話せ。
Yeah, I'm with Beato on this one. I'm stupid. Yeah, I gotta explain things to me straight.
自らの思考を停止させる者に与えられる答えはありませんよ。考えなさい。
Alright, I'm gonna stand up and go to the bathroom while I think. Give me a sec. Alright, and I'm back. Didn't think of anything.
あなたなりの考えで。
I'm not Beatrice. I don't know all her moves.
とっととリザインしたら、ついでにさらに赤で追い詰めてあげるわ。キリエはね、死ぬ最後の瞬間まで食料を取りに行かないイコール屋敷に行かないという行動式を維持していたわ。にもかかわらず率先して屋敷へ向かったわ。台車を押して食料を運ぼうとしたわ。その矛盾はなぜ？私が魔法で操ったから。これこそが私の魔法が実在し、私が魔女である証拠なの。
うるせえ、黙れ。心変わりでさえないっていうのか。キレ様、死ぬまでずっと食料はいらない、屋敷には行かないと思ってたなら、なんで自分から進んで食料を取りに行こう、屋敷に行こうなんて言い出すんだ。魔法でキリエさんが操られていたっていうのか。そんなバカな。どうやってこの魔法を打ち破ればいいんだ。キリエさんがここにいてくれて、一言心変わりの理由を言ってくれれば。いや、心変わりすらしてないと奴に赤で言われちまった。どうすりゃいいんだ。人間側には反撃できる一手がね。
このゲームって知れば知るほどに魔女に有利なルールよね。たとえいくつの局面で負けたとしても、たった一つだけ勝てれば、それだけで魔女は存在を誇示できる。つまりバトラ君には完全勝利以外に魔女を否定する方法はないの。ここまで私のことを散々エヴァ呼ばわりして追い詰めてきたつもりのようだけど、あなたの尊敬するキリエさん一人の頭の中の話だけで全てがひっくり返っちゃうなんて。しちゃいなさいよ、リザイン。
Can't tap out that easy.
認めちゃえば、負けちゃえば。
くそー、人間には証明不能だ。死者が何を思って行動したのかなんて推測の域を出ない。しかも推測程度じゃ魔法を否定できない。魔法を打ち破るためには キリエさんがどうして心変わりしたのか客観的な証拠を。でも畜生。
Well, my brain immediately jumps to the numbers written on the door to the parlor because those weren't there when they left, but were when they came back. And it doesn't say who fucking put it on there.
心変わりしたのか。その証拠は存在しないと赤で言われちまってる。どうすりゃいいんだ。
You know, fucking Chekhov's gun and all that.
バトラさん、リザインでよろしいですか。
食料を取りに行かない。でも実際には矛盾したこの
But she went anyway. What could she have possibly gone for?
理解なんかできないわよ。理解不能、解釈不能。その闇は全て魔女のものだもの。さあさ考えても無駄よ。おやめなさい。あなたに魔女を否定することなんてできやしない。だって私はこうして存在するんだもの。
Shame you're not a witch.
私こそは黄金の魔女。そこにいる元の魔女から名前を奪い取った。あなたに私がベアトリーチェであることを否定などできないのよ。
くそ
ー Use your noggin.
その名を語る資格は貴様
Fire
に
your
ね
synapses.
なのにそれを否定する手が思いつかねえ。
Balor could no longer counter this witch who was laughing derisively in triumph. He didn't want to give up, but he could do nothing. He ground his teeth, making fists with both hands. But even so, he couldn't think of a brilliant counterattack.
バトラさん、制限時間を切りますが、リザインでよろしいですか。
Beato with an objection?
人間側受け手がありま
You know,
せ
you
ん。
can just think out loud.
デザインをしま待て。反撃の手はある。
なんだって。
へえ、どんな手があるっていうのよ、先代様。このベアトリーチェの魔法をどんな手で否定できるのか教えてくださる？できないわ。そんなこと不可能よ。
食料を取りに行かないイコール屋敷に行かないという命題を、わらわはそれを待遇で説明する。つまりそれでも屋敷に行ったイコール、
Yeah.
食料以外の目的でとも説明できるのではないか。これはわらわの得意手のテンペルのカラスというよりはバトキリエが食料を目的に屋敷に
So
行
she
く
went
こ
for
と
something
があ
else,
りえ
like
な
I
い。
said. Simple. It was so simple that I'm like, that can't be it. I must be like underthinking it.
それでもなおキリエが外へ出る他の目的があったと説明するしかない。つまりその目的が証明できれば魔法は否定できる。
なるほど。食料を目的に屋敷には行かないが他の目的があってそれを偽るために食料を取りに行こうと言い出したわけか。確かにそれなら説明がまだ可能かもしれない。しかし
お師匠様、キリエの死亡現場の再構築を例の召喚はできぬが、死体の検証は
We can do a little
人間側の
impromptu
権利
crime
です。
scene investigation.
ええ、問題ありませんよ。後ろ宮キリエの死亡現場を再構築します。私たちはキリエの霊を呼び出すことはできないけれど、キリエが何を残したかを知ることでそれを武器にできるかもしれない。
いいわよ。好きなだけを調べなさいよ。何もわかるわけがない。さっきも赤で言ったわよ。キリエは何も書き残してはいない。何を見つけたところで
Oh, well.
何もわかるものか。
Well, that's for her motive.
何も見つからないかもしれない。
Unless that counts as everything, then she wasn't the one to write on the door.
バトラーは歯を食いしばってそなたを打ち破る一手を思いつこうと戦っておる。わらわにできるこ
Beato landed on her feet in the reconstructed hall, approached Kyrie's fallen body, and wandered around observing.
人間側の戦い方は今一つ勝手がわからぬ。確か
Yes,
物証
you
が
can't just pull things out of your ass. Most of the time.
なれば何を探せばいいのか。
大ベアトリーチェ教ともあろうお方が床に膝をつけて這い回ってみっともなく死体あさりとはね。
Dropping a good loot.
お似合いな姿だこと。
何とでも言うがよい。わらわにはこれくらいしかできぬ。何を蔑まれようと構わぬ。だがわらわの名誉のために戦うといったバトラー、わらわは捨ておけぬ。
As much as it pains you.
血を吐い死肉を漁ることになろうともその義理に応えねばならぬのだ。
While being subjected to the witch's sneers, Beato searched through Kyrie's corpse. She fished through the pockets, taking out what was inside and laying it on the floor. Laid on the floor was a handkerchief, tissue, a key to her house, a stub of a plane ticket, a lighter, a cigarette butt, and a single 100-yen coin. There was no special, suspicious object. Although Beato was down on all fours and being sneered at, that was all she could find.
それでどうやって私の魔法を打ち破るっていうの？くだらない、くだらない。
At least now she's the kind of person who doesn't just throw her cigarette butts on the ground.
勇ましいことを言って割り込んでおきながら、その低たらくは
Even more
何なの？
tragic that she's dead. Only more people could be like that.
恥ずかしい。へそかんで死んじゃえば。
The witch fell over laughing, taunting Beato. Beato hung her head, trying to withstand the shame.
お嬢様、検証は十分ですか?
Well, why don't you check Rudolph's pockets? He's part of the scene too.
これ以上何も見つからぬ。
以上の物証から何か反論の一手は出ますか？
Not really.
出なければ人間側リザインせざるを得ません。
当たり前でしょ？何も反論の余地なんてないのよ。
I mean, it wouldn't be unreasonable for her to, give something to Rudolph.
私は魔女だもの。私の魔法は打ち破れない。あんたはもはや元魔女でしかないのよ。ベアトリーチェを名乗ることも許されなくなったただの負け犬なのよ。さあ、そのゴミやガラクタを好きに積み重ねて私の魔法を打ち破ってごらんなさい。できないでしょ。できないわよね。それは
Rub it in.
私が魔女だからよ。あんたは名前さえ持たない負け犬だからよ。
何かあるはずなのだ。くじけぬ。くじけぬぞ。どれほど嘲笑われようとも。わらわの名誉のために戦うバトラー。
Gotta do your part.
バトラーの名誉のために。くじけるものか。
Even if you look stupid. As Beato held back tears at the words of humiliation she was being showered with, in the hope that Kyrie was holding something else, in the hope that she could find something that could save Battler from his plight, she searched earnestly. However, nothing more came up.
くそ。頼む。後ろ宮キリエ、そなたの息子の窮地を、そなたが救わぬわけがない。頼む。死してなお、あやつのために力を貸してくれ。
However, Kyrie's body did not answer. It's only natural that a corpse would remain silent. No dead person existed that would answer Beato, now that she had lost the endless magic.
無駄よ、無駄無駄。死者をもてあそべるのは魔女だけの特権よ。魔女でもなく、そして人間ですらないあんたに力を貸してくれるものなんてどこにも存在しない。あんたは永遠に一人ぼっち。魔女にも人間にも味方はなく、誰もあんたを助けてなんてくれないの。悔しければ泣いちゃえば。役に立てなくてごめんなさいって詫びちゃえば。
Damn, really fucking caving in that easy?
わらわでは何もそなたの力にない。
いや、十分だ。
You think of something?
ありがとう、ベアト。お前のドラッグを俺は。
Damn it, I keep cutting him
慰め
off.
などいらぬわ。このガラクタの山で一体何を反論できるというのか。あやつに嘲笑われてまでかき集めたこのガラクタがどうやって一矢報いれるというのか。
In front of Beato, who was still crawling on all fours and hitting the pile of objects Kyrie had left behind with her fist, Battler also crouched. And, after patting her shoulder in thanks, he moved that hand to the ground, picked up the cigarette butt, and held it over his head.
そのゴミが何だというのか。
Yeah, what? Who? What's the cigarette butt have to do with anything?
キリエさんはタバコを吸わない。
Okay. But Kyrie was even holding a lighter. Well, she probably lights your dad's cigarettes for him. Certainly, she wasn't carrying a box of cigarettes itself. But at a glance, very naturally it looked as though Kyrie had a smoking habit.
親父は吸ったが、キリエさんは吸わなかった。でも、親父のタバコに火をつけるために、ライターだけは持ち歩いてたんだ。
Even before I started smoking, I still had a lighter on me.
だからなんだというの？
They're convenient to have.
夫がタバコを吸うんなら、たとえ吸わなくても、妻がタバコを持ってたとしても不思議はないわ。あるいは喫煙マナーの悪い夫の捨てた吸い殻を拾っただけかもね。それがなんだっていうの？私の魔法とどう関係があるっていうの？何もありゃしない。
Or maybe Rudolph has something in his pocket that he couldn't fit it all in, so she had to carry something for him.
さらに言おう。こいつは、親父の吸ってるタバコの銘柄と異なる。すまないがベアト、親父の遺体の懐を見てくれるか。
うん、これか。
銘柄を確認。吸い殻と銘柄が異なります。キリエが持っていた吸い殻はルドルフの吸うタバコの銘柄ではありません。
Yeah?
だからどうしたというの？
Does
キリエは
Hideyoshi
綺麗
smoke?
好きのいい子だから落ちてる吸い殻を許せず拾っただけかもしれないじゃない。私は嫌だけど。
ベアト、
I forgot.
すまんがもう一人頼む。秀吉おじさんの懐だ。親族でタバコを吸うのは、親父と秀吉おじさんだけなんだ。
あったぞ。これか。
Beato found a cigarette box in Hideyoshi's pocket, took a single one out, and held it out.
銘柄を確認。吸い殻は秀吉の吸うタバコの銘柄と認めます。
だからなんだというの？秀吉の吸い殻がキリエのポケットから見つかると、私の魔法がどうやめられるっていうのよ。
You know, there's three people here. Why only stop at one?
そうさ。
I get they need to set the stage and make like dramatic moments and everything.
この吸い殻が
It's throwing me for a loop every time they like stop and I'm like, oh god, was I wrong? Was my train of thought off? And no, I was right on once again because I'm a fucking genius, smartest man around. Let's go.
いや、この吸い殻こそがキリエさんがゲストハウスを離れた理由なんだ。ベアト、ありがとう。お前がこいつを見つけてくれなかったら俺はここで屈していた。ワルギリア、状況を再構築。第2の番。 ローザおばさんたちが殺されたことが発覚した後のゲストハウスだ。
了解。再構築します。ローザ、マリアの死亡後、残った生存者はゲストハウス内すべての戸締まりを再確認。バリケードを構築。
So she picked up Hideyoshi's cigarette butt from somewhere?
何も不審なところなんかないじゃない。何が言いたいの？第4の番以降の話をしているのに、なんで第2の番の直後を蒸し返すのよ。
親父は携帯吸い殻入れを持ち歩いてる。
Oh, well, at least your dad also doesn't let her.
キリエさんがわざわざ自分のポケットに吸い殻を入れる理由がようやく見えてきた。その吸い殻に意味があるからさ。
It's a message.
その吸い殻こそがキリエさんが俺たちに残したメッセージだ。
聞こうじゃない。その吸い殻一本でどうやって私を否定してみせるというの？
聞いての通りだ。第2の番以降、ゲストハウスでは全ての部屋の点検が行われた。この時、キリエさんはあってはいけない場所にあってはいけないものを見つけた。
Okay.
あってはいけないもの。
One of Hideyoshi's cigarette butts somewhere? But where?
何なのか。
こいつさ、この吸い殻さ。こいつが秀吉おじさんのいた客室の灰皿に置かれていたんだ。
は
あ？ Okay.
灰皿に吸い殻があってどうおかしいってのよ。おかしいのはあんたの頭の方じゃないの。
エヴァおばさんは大のタバコ嫌い。
Oh, he wouldn't have smoked in the room with her. Eva left to go knock off Rosa and Maria. Had a smoke when she was gone.
そのおばさんが体調を崩して寝込んでるのに吸い殻があるわけがないんだ。しかし灰皿には
I was gonna say
吸い
there's
殻
no
が
way
あ
we
っ
could
た。
have known that, but I'm pretty sure they talked about it on the boat ride over. It's like, oh yeah, Eva hated them smoking, so she kicked him out to the fucking deck of the ship. But from my perspective, I read that like weeks ago, so.
それを見たキリエさんはすぐに気づいたんだ。秀吉おじさんは嘘をついている。本当はエヴァおばさんは寝込んでなんかいなかった。部屋を抜け出していたんだと気づいたんだ。復讐要求。
And you know, when the cat's away, the mice will play, and you know, in this case, they played by having a nice smoke.
エヴァおばさんたちが休んだ部屋の灰皿で揉み消された。
拒否するわ。
ようやく掴んだぜ。ありがとうよ、ベアト。
わらわは役に立てたのか。
ああ、そうさ。吐くぞ。俺たちでエセ魔女の化けの皮を剥いでやる。
From that cigarette butt, Kirie realized that Hideyoshi was creating an alibi for Eva's sake. Hideyoshi had been tasked with watching over the room to create an alibi. And during that time, he had been unable to withstand the tension and had smoked. Then Kirie had disclosed that to Rudolph. She disclosed that there was a good chance that Eva was the culprit and Hideyoshi was an accomplice.
そしてキリエさんは食料を取りに行こうと提案する。そして秀吉おじさんにその手助けを頼む。これが意味するところはただ一つだ。
They wanted to get them separate.
キリエさんは秀吉おじさんを隔離して真相を問い詰めるつもりだったんだ。
ヘンペルのカラス、有効です。魔女殿はこの一手を迎え撃てない限り、キリエを操ったと称する魔法の存在が否定されます。
なんですって？
Yeah, learn about all these fucking metaphysic whatever bullshits.
否定するわよ。とにかく否定するわよ。私じゃないわ。後ろ見はエヴァじゃないわ。エヴァは部屋で寝てたのよ。
We have no proof.
ならば言ってみろ。
Say it in red.
ああ、言えやしないさ。今度だって言えやしないさ。復讐要求。後ろ見はエヴァはその時部屋から一歩も出ていない。
なんなのよこれ。責めていたのは私でしょ。なんで私が責められる側になってるの？いつの間に攻守が逆転してるのよ。問い詰めてるのは私なのよ。 この魔女である私がなぜに
Because you're not a witch.
繰り返す復唱要求。後宮エヴァは部屋を出ていない。言えるわけがねえんだ。チェックメイトだ。
魔女側受けてありませんか。
あるわけがない。
Yeah.
虚実にて着飾った
That's
偽
pretty
りの
solid.
魔女に受けられる真実などありはしない。
本当の魔女、貴様に名乗る資格はない。貴様は黄金の魔女じゃない。
You ain't even a witch.
貴様は人間。
Just Ushimiya Eva.
後宮エヴァだ。
Then it flashes and it's just Eva. The witch roared. Her entire body was burned with a tremendous heat that denied her own witchcraft an existence, and let out a roar like a dragon. Her body flickered repeatedly, flashing as Ava's figure and the witch's figure overlapped. Is it gonna turn back to Beatrice or just Eva? However, the roar drowned out that flicker and made it return once more to the original form of the cruel-hearted witch. Oh, we're in the question mark dimension.
いいわ。私のことを後宮エヴァと呼びたければ呼べばいいのよ。そうよ。確かに私は後宮エヴァが犯人であることに対する指し手の全てを撃退することができない。私は黄金の魔女を引きずり下ろされ、今や後宮エヴァと呼ばれているかもしれない。でもね、だからって、魔法と魔女の存在が否定されたわけじゃない。
Eva just used her own magic.
私が今から教えてやるわ。私が後宮エヴァなどではなく、人間
Unless we're
など
gonna
では
jump
なく、
back to the first 6 Twilights. Or the first Twilight with the 6 murders.
本当の魔女であることを今から教えてやるわ。見なさい。この赤き真実を。
The witch clapped her hands, and time advanced in the world of the game board. As they called Jessica's name, Battler and Eva ran up to the parlor. They were searching for Jessica because they had gone to the servant room, found Nanjo's corpse, and didn't know where Jessica was.
それがどうしたってんだ。何が言いたい。
まさか。まずい。
Pieto went pale. That made it clear that the move the evil witch was about to make was bad enough to have such an effect on Pieto.
今度こそ言い逃れのできぬ致命的な一手をあなたに。いいえ、あなたを応援するすべての人間どもにくれてやるわ。心して聞きなさい。私の一手を。
やめよ。その一手は。
ベアト、下がれ。俺は受けるぞ。来い。
Taking it head on? Or like how the blind Jessica got herself into the parlor?
ジェシカ負傷後、エヴァは常にバトラの監視下にあった。バトラは犯人でもなく共犯者でもない。
Then how did Nanjo
よ
die?
ってエヴァの完全なアリバイを証明できる。
Yeah, that's a hard one.
あんたを、人間を絶対に逃れられぬ赤き結界にて封じて殺す。さらばだ人間どもよ。出口なき絶対の魔法密室にて永遠に眠るがいいわ。さあ、心して聞きなさい。赤き真実を。この島には19人以上の人間はいな
The
い。
spider web.
謎の怪人物が隠れていて犯行をなどという愚かしい考えは捨てなさい。でもこういう言い方をすると動物の犯人も疑えるわ
No
ね。
vicious animals.
殺人を仕込んだオランウータンは人間にはカウントされてないなんてへりくつを言われちゃかなわない。ならこう言い換えるわ。 人間以外の生命は一切このゲームに関係がないというわけで、次にこの島に存在する18人の状況を全て説明するわ。
Alright.
金蔵は死亡している、クラウスは死亡している、
2,
夏日は死亡している、
3,
秀吉は死亡している、
4,
ジョージは死亡している、
5,
ルドルフは死亡している、
6,
キリエは死亡している、
7,
ローザは死亡している、
8,
マリアは死亡している、
9,
ゲンジは死亡している、
10,
シャノンは死亡している、
11,
カノンは死亡している、
12,
ゴーダは死亡している、
13,
熊沢は死亡している、
14,
南條は死亡している。
15.
以上15人は死亡。そしてバトラは生存している。
Yes,
エヴァは生存している。
correct.
ジェシカは生存している。これで18人全員。よって最後の犠牲者である南條の死亡時、バトラとエヴァとジェシカの3人だけが生きていたことはわかるわよね。
なんだと貴様、まさか。
It would have had to have been Jessica who killed Nanjo, or Nanjo died in an accident.
エヴァはあなたとずっと一緒にいたわ。だから犯行は不可能。もちろんバトラ君は犯人じゃないわ。アリバイ偽装なんてしてないし、彼女が犯人の可能性も考慮していたから、その行動は用心深く見張ってた。彼女には不審なことをできるあらゆる可能性が存在しなかった。つまり犯行時の使用人室には南條とジェシカしかいなかったのよ。となると読めてるわよ。あなたの一手はこうよね。ジェシカが犯人の可能性もあると。しかし残念ね。先に赤で叩き切ってあげるわよ。
Yeah, Jessica didn't kill Nanjo.
後ろ宮ジェシカは殺人を犯していない。
She's just a sweet little cinnamon roll who wouldn't hurt a fly.
南條殺しに関わっていない。彼女の目は完全に塞がれている。その彼女に殺人を行うことは不可能よ。さらにおまけしてあげるわ。エヴァとバトラも南條を殺していないし、
Okay.
関わってもい
Can
な
you
い。
say it in red that Nanjo was murdered?
ちょっと待ち上がれ。それじゃおかしいじゃねえか。3人しか人間がいなくて、それで殺人が起こって
Again, we
その
went
3
through
人が
this with
関わっ
the
て
with the
ない
first
なんて、
Twilight, you know.
そんなのおかしい。
Say it that it was homicide.
はっきり断言してあげるわ。南條を殺した犯人はバトラでもエヴァでもジェシカでもない。つまり生存者の中にはいないということよね。お分かり？
いや、そうだ。二重人格とかどうだ。
Not fucking Jekyll and Hyde.
もともとお前がエヴァおばさんのもう一つの人格であったように、例えばジェシカにもう一つの魔女的人格があって、それがジェシカ以外を名乗って南條先生を殺したとか。
You're grasping at straws, bud.
愚かね。すでに赤で語っているわ。ジェシカの目は完全に塞がれていて、彼女に殺人
Switching,
は不
you
可
know,
能。
personalities doesn't fix her eyes.
彼女にどんな人格が憑依しようとも、彼女の肉体では殺人を行えないの。それともこう言えば満足するかしら。ジェシカの体が起こしたいかなる動作も南條の殺人には関係影響しない。この適用をバトラとエヴァにも広げるわ。つまりどうあがこうが解釈しようが、ジェシカとバトラとエヴァは南條を殺した犯人ではない。
Well, ain't that a pickle?
ふざけるな。だって他はもう全員確実に死んでるじゃねえかよ。
Yep.
ならあとは残るのは南條先生の自殺説だけじゃねえか。あとトラップ説。犯人はすでに死亡しているが、過去に仕掛けておいたトラップが発動して。
南條は他殺よ。もちろんトラップではなく直接的な殺害方法よ。
Ooh, that's
凶器を構え、それにて真正面の至近距離から殺した。 犯人は南條の目の前に堂々と現れ、そして互いに顔を見合わせながら殺害したのだ。
だから待て。
that's a hard
生
one.
存者は3人しかいない。それ以外は全員死んでることはお前が赤で語ってる。つまり18人全員の生死が確定してる。しかも19人目は存在しないと。あらかつまり
Yeah, what does that leave?
生存者3人以外には存在できない。
Other than one of those people died after Nanjo had been killed.
なのにその3人以外の4人目が南條先生の前に現れてる。19人目は存在しないのに、どうして俺たち以外の人間が現れて南條先生を殺害できるんだ。おかしい。お前は嘘をついている。赤字で嘘をついている。
I don't think she
赤は
is.
真実のみを語る。それを疑うことはすなわち貴様のお城で私に怯え萎縮し、その背に隠れるくそ。はっきりと今こそ言い切るわ。
What, magic is real
南
in
條
red?
の前に現れし私こそ魔女なのよ。
Say it in red.
18人の人間では説明できない黄金の魔女なのよ。
I'm not getting swept up away in this.
ワルギリア、ロドベ、状況は矛盾していないのか。奴は本当に赤で真実を語っているのか。
はい、赤き真実有効です。
なんという緻密かつ精密な罪。
Yeah, this ain't good.
こいつをどう手を打ちゃいいんだ。
Oh, that's a real good question, Battler. Unfortunately, we'll have to find out next time on the next episode of Umineko, where we'll probably finish this up. I was honestly expecting this to be the finale, but it was going on, and at this rate, it's going to be a 5-hour video, and we're already approaching, 4 hours, and it's getting long in the tooth. If next video is short, I'll mush it together with the tea party and the question mark. So, once again, with that, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring the notification bell. See you all next time for the next episode of Umineko. Catch you guys all then later. Bye. Mwah.